Now they sit in a retake scenario, which is possible.
Especially with Crims here. I don't think they've actually spotted and pushed up this far. Unfortunately, he's not able to get the kill, though, as Malta secures and now Brolin trying to sneak behind with Golden, the scout. Spots out the first. But again, Renegades playing this one slow, not trying to peek into anything. Do they know the player is in the pit, though? That's going to be my question. I think it's going to be Hats there. Just clean shots coming through. Brolin gets him down, but it doesn't matter in the end. Renegades take the round. I'm a little bit confused, though, because Inns came around the corner into Dexter's spot, we'll call it for now. And he had like a flashbang. He had like a grenade in hand. Didn't even have his weapon out, so a little bit of a misstep there, I'd say.
It might have just been the case of because JW peaked, they would have expected the trade to come sooner from Crims. And because he just went, he's dead. Just leave him. That was what surprised him so much. But either way, it's something that needs to be checked. But luckily for them, Malta comes up with a big triple. He has been fantastic in this series so far. And see you later, JW. Maybe a little bit too predictable about how you like to get aggressive. Of course, this round doesn't really matter for Fnatic. They don't have anything to play with. This is the chance for Renegades to really build up an economy, make some cash, even kill a player through your teammate.
Oh, Brolin, P250. I mean, Renegades looking good. I kind of wonder where this team was when it came to Dust 2, though. I mean, if we also look at, like, what, the Astralis Cloud9 match, Overpass was one-sided 16-7, and then we went on to Train. And Cloud9 actually had a lot of life in them. It seemed to have woken them up after map 1. Maybe it's the same kind of case here for Renegades, as Brolin's able to get the first kill onto Inns. I mean, he gets himself a Mac 10, not the most ideal weapon to have. He's being flanked from behind. He's got players to the front. And now he has no head left to fight with. So Renegades now up to 14, 2 away from taking us over to Overpass. But Fnatic, still not the best of buys for them. They don't really have the great money to invest into the utility they need on a map like Inferno.
Sorry, just counting how many wins on Overpass in a row it actually is for Renegades. 10. Granted, it is versus, again, like, a lot of the time smaller opposition or local opposition. The only real one, again, we talk about is going to be Cloud9, but it definitely leaves for what could be a fairly interesting finale if we get there. Bear in mind that Cloud9, I believe, were on a 12-map streak before Renegades ended it, so...
Jeez.
It was a battle of the Titans on that map. Either way, Inns already going to be tagged relatively low. The nade damage able to do something initially. Again, though, there's still not quite enough utility available, or even maybe weaponry for Fnatic to properly take control of the banana. They're still going to take the risk, though. Now, I'm less of a fan of this kind of 4-1. When Golden, all he can really hope for is footsteps on banana. That's all that he can get from information because he's not peeking deep enough down. So you'd normally maybe have the AWPer just around a wall or even a player jump spotting into banana so that you can make sure that this rotation doesn't happen. So they're just going almost off gambles. Now, JW finding that peak and not really spotting anyone else could force Flusher back. You can see he's tempted already to try and make a play back towards the B site, and that is the right call to make because they don't really know where the Renegades currently are. And the fact is, they're right on their front door. That smoke timing, though, that's an issue.
Oh, Golden. It's actually going to fall back into the flashbang. Gets the first, though. Sprays another second. Connects, though, for some decent damage. Now down to the 2 players with 20 seconds left to get this bomb down. Flusher plays this one perfectly, trying to wait for reinforcements. Yeah, let them get the bomb. They have the money anyways. We need to win the round, and he gets the kill. There we go, Fnatic. Again, pulling off these rounds with some scrappy buys. Gets him a 7th on the board, and really credit to Flusher with the smoke. The rotation's coming through to really buy that time and buy that separation they needed to force out these like 1v1s or 2v2s.
That timing was perfect. Like I think it came down to just sort of watching the clock and realizing after JW peaked that, okay, they haven't taken upper mid control. If they're going to go for an execution onto the A site now, they would have already had that upper mid control. Like you can assume at least. So that gave the clue, okay, I need to get back to banana. And again, that smoke went down with roughly 30 seconds on the clock. That means if they were going to wait for it, they'd have just over 10 seconds. So they had to go through it. And, well, because of that, everything went wrong for the Renegades. Golden's able to get a couple, and Flusher does the same. So good work from him. But we'll see if that's something that can be replicated. Like, as said, that timing really was on point. The T side now come up with a better buy themselves. Dexter, those are those risky players I talk about though. Peeks through the smoke into a Molotov to try and get a kill onto Flusher, and Flusher, he's waiting.
They're able to get some decent damage done though, wow. With the grenade, I believe that was on a Flusher and Golden, so at least punishing them, doing about, you know, almost the equivalent of 100 HP in damage. So Fnatic have a long road ahead of them. And early on in the round, by the way, JW was peeking in towards second mid. He got very aggressive with the help of the Molotovs thrown down towards T stairs. Took it potentially for another peek yet again. Catches on Malta right when the smoke dissipates. So again, man advantage being maintained for Fnatic. You said before, I mean, you can't really count them out, especially on a map like Inferno. And they're starting to build into these rounds as if they can pull this one back. They still have, 6 rounds to go after this one if they can close it out.
Once
nade.
The worry for me is just looking at the time on the clock once again. The nade over to Flusher. He is lucky to be alive. I really like that boost. Just to line that up, and Inns actually pre-fires into the coffins. Smoke's gone down. There's still a lurk in the form of hats around the other side, but it means that there's a 2v2 as they look to entry onto the site, and they've only got 10 seconds. They need to get their move on, and quickly, and Golden, he's just trying to spray through, looks for the bomb, but he doesn't quite deny it. It does manage to go down. However, I don't think it matters here. Hats, he can't sprint, because they'll know he's there, and he just has to try and save his gun. So a bomb plant at least will give some extra finances, but again, this is starting to work really well for Fnatic, where the time just ticks and ticks and ticks, and by the time Renegades actually go for some sort of execution, it looks like it's too little too late. And in that scenario, unfortunately, their offense was split, so they were basically going into a site on a 2v2, and the CTs knew, okay, stay alive, right, hold on, we don't need to do anything.
I still really like the nade, as we pointed out.
Yeah.
I mean, Flush had 5 health. It just took 1 bullet out of Sicko coming around the corner to finish him off. No real utility being used out of Fnatic off the bat, though, on this round. I guess they're assuming there will be a save out of Renegades, which we can see is true. No Hats is able to maintain the AK from the prior round. And JW finally with the op here. This is where things are going to get really interesting for Renegades if they can dislodge him.
I'm just worried if they ever try and go towards pit now, because Brolin in the pit with an SG is just, you don't want to face that ever. Like, he's just the last person. Either way, utility being held by Fnatic. Again, they've been very good at delaying their opposition. Golden going to be waiting patiently. Nade to follow up absolutely ruins the remaining Ts, of course, without armor. They didn't really stand much of a chance, and Fnatic, this is another opportunity to keep things nice and clean, even still. Flusher is going to go down. It only leaves 1 man on the site. If they can somehow overwhelm it, Golden, that's a bit of a whiff spray, but he stays alive more importantly. And now the utility can follow up, and considering how low these remaining players are, there doesn't seem to be much of a chance. Dexter hoping to double up, but he's not going to be able to. JW with the triple to close out the round, but this is where things get back into the action as the Ts have another purchase.
I think Fnatic's really showing like a true master class of like utility usage here. I mean, in that round, they could have thrown everything early on into the bomb banana to get the early control, but knowing they're up against most likely a save, you might as well save it for later on when they try to actually execute into the site to make it even that much more difficult. If Golden didn't fluff his shot there as they started to push in, like that would have been way more dominating than it actually turned out to be. And Renegade's going to be missing a couple of pieces of utility. JW goes for the shot up against middle. Not able to quite connect onto Sicko, who's waiting for the return of JW. And it looks like banana control will be, I was going to say, will be gained for Fnatic. However, Dexter...
Was that just straight through the smoke? I think it was. That's a painful one for Flusher. Especially his reputation around smokes. I think that's 2 rounds in a row he got killed through a smoke. And then the 3rd one, he got dunked by an aid and killed through the coffin. So not having the best of times.
He just wants to play the game.
Dexter has come into his own once again. Flashbang over the top gives Golden 1, but it also gives a lot of information. Not only the T's know that JW's over on the B site, which is something that hasn't really happened too often throughout the match. But it means there's a maximum of 2 on the other side, or at least they thought. JW's taken the all-in gamble as he rotates to join the rest of his team. The B site now left completely open, but the T's are none the wiser. And as the push comes in, I think they've timed this quite well, as JW is no longer going to be able to do too much unless he hits something straight through the smoke. Brolin, however, as said, from that pit, I think this is going to be so difficult to clear him.
"20 seconds left. Trying to boost up to see into sight. JW back towards B. Nice little jump around as well. He's going to take it out. Brolin's there, but Brolin's only able to get 1. Crims, though, gets the avenging kill, though, with the Molotov. Now it's going to be JW up against Sicko. Op versus Op. Bomb now down. Renegades looking for a minimum of an overtime. Unable to quite connect the shot for both Oppers here. Incendiary comes in yet again to force Sicko off and back into a different position. Comes around the corner. Smokes there. JW doesn't know where Sicky's going to be, but he still connects the shot nonetheless with the pistol. Trying to jump through the smoke here. Trying to connect a single shot. Time is starting to tick away, and JW just going back for the reload. The smoke will dissipate. Throws the op at him. And Sicko's playing this perfect, playing it down to a T. JW will get the kill, but the defuse, will it be there in time? Oh my gosh, if Sicko just held a little bit longer. JW gets the last laugh and keeps Fnatic in this one.
I didn't think he had that.
Neither did I.
In my mind, I was just like, nah, there's no way. I thought that was so well played by Sicko. He baited down the time, and then just at the last second, JW just runs in, gets the kill, and gets the defusal as well. That one's going to sting for the Renegades. Because that really should have been their round to take. JW, plenty of mind games in that battle. Now he's the only one with the AWP. T's will have an investment once again, and with only 1 player surviving, they're going to try and at least damage that CT side economy further, whittle away at it. But over the last few rounds, they've been able to build up. That is actually a nade that's bounced over the top, which has done a lot of damage onto Malta and Inns as they try to line up their grenades. A good HE coming in from Fnatic, and a Molotov actually going to go just as they pop their flashes and throw the smoke. So that's a lot of initial damage and a lot of utility expended by Renegades. And as of yet, they've achieved absolutely nothing. JW is going to get that opening pick. His CT side AWP has been fantastic. In fact, both CT side AWPers were performing well. But now they look to break past Brolin once again. They've been able to get trades the majority of the time, but it's just taking him out without a response. When you're already a man down, that's tough, but Sicko's able to do it, but even still, Brolin gets a kill. And do they know that Crims is still lurking? They don't. He gets 1, but that's all. Again, effective trading, but there is the man renowned for playing around the smokes, and he'll manage to find 1 through it, leaving Malta alone, just 2 HP. He needs instant headshots, and it's not going to happen. Fnatic are clawing their way back into this match as they get further into double digits.
I know, looking back at this now, there's like so many opportunities potentially that you're seeing where like if they just played things a little bit differently, Renegades could be on the map 3 right now. I mean, if Sicko was able to delay just a millisecond longer in that 1v1, they would have had 15.
That's the tilting thing, is that if you're a Renegades fan right now, I don't necessarily think the Renegades are doing a lot wrong. It's just that Fnatic are just a little bit ahead of them.
Squeaking by.
And that's all it is. It's like milliseconds. It's slight details, but that is enough to keep Fnatic in this match, which could have easily been over by now. But the worrying thing is the longer this goes, the better Fnatic become. Like, this is where they're in their element, where they're up against the wall in a map. And for Renegades, a less experienced side, I don't think anybody's doubting that, will the pressure get to them here? They're going to go for a quick wrap around. We've seen them do the work with the pistols before, but Crims, clinical as ever, is going to clean up those first 2 remaining players. JW, maybe not so much. He's going to miss his shot, but is there with a P250, eventually pressured down, and Malta still fragging along, but he won't be able to do anything more. Crims now starting to step up to the plate as Fnatic continue this comeback into the match.
12-14. Timeout coming in. Much needed timeout, I say, for Renegades. They got the money to buy, but they need to find that magic equation, that magic formula to close out this map, potentially. Every round that goes by is just putting them closer and closer. What's up?
It's 6 rounds in a row now. 3 of them had bomb plants, and that was not... Well, actually, no, it was including that 1v1 clutch as well. So there's been a lot of opportunities now for Renegades to take this map over the line, and I do start to worry for them. This is easily where the pressure can creep in. You're up against a titan of Counter-Strike for who even knows how long at this point. Like, it's getting to a ridiculous margin how good Fnatic have been and for how long. The question is there going to be a breaking point? Is there going to be someone to drag them through? We've seen great performances pretty much across the board. They always say that the best series end on this map, but hey, as a second map, it seems to be pretty good as well. Smoke deep into Banana. And an initial 3-man stack, but mostly that's just in case there's an aggressive rush and also just to expend some early utility. You can see Crims, he threw his smoke deep so that he can now wrap around and they can use theirs later on if they need it. Brolin also up in apps. He's not been here before, and Hans is not going to check it. That's the bomb down early on. They need to trade this out, but Brolin gets away with 3. That is far more than he ever should have been able to achieve, and they're still looking to see if he's there. Flusher now gained some space because of it, and Sicko, he's not going to be able to do anything here. It's play after play coming up from Fnatic, and this time it's the youngster once again. A position not played previously. And Fnatic, they're just 1 round behind, Jason.
Yeah. And I mean, what do you do here if you're Renegades? Like, the money wasn't terrible, but it necessarily wasn't enough to be able to buy fully into this. And it looks like they will go for the save here. Just a couple of pistols, a little bit of armor here or there. Maybe the fast play could be exactly what they need. I think Fnatic's going to have to definitely respect that. I think like we saw with early utility usage in the round prior. And another incendiary being thrown straight down towards the bomb in middle. And here they come, rushing straight towards the B side. Flusher's waiting though, and Flusher gets himself a nice crisp little double. And a third, and a fourth, not going to happen. His end's going to finish him off. And now Golden, he's got to hold steady. He does have Crims there to back him up, however. The bomb's still down towards the top of T-mid. And it looks like we might be seeing a 14th on the board here.
We've had a few spray downs like that now. Like, Crims did it a couple of rounds ago. We've just seen Brolin as well pick up a quad kill. Now it's Flusher's turn. Like, it seems like everybody on Fnatic has started to wake up. JW had himself a wonderful little clutch not too long ago with milliseconds left on the clock. It basically means it's Golden's turn.
Way to put the pressure on him, Tom.
How much damage can Dexter and Inns do here? The chance to win the round is slim. They've retrieved a rifle at least. They're actually going to smoke off the left side of the bomb site. It leaves Crims without vision. The nades onto the player on Coffins have been doing a large amount of damage throughout. Inns actually going to be able to sneak his way around in towards the church, and he's praying that Crims is not looking in that direction. He's not. That will be the clinical kill. Now they just look for Golden, who's going to be lurking at the back of the site. He's been spotted out, both players with M4s, but still 20 seconds left, and the rotations now come in. The bomb not in the hands of the remaining T, but pretty damn close, but I think they've missed their chance here. Inns left completely blind, and Golden will close out the round. A double for him. Wasn't quite as much as I'd like, but, you know, that was a decent play.
I like
to hold on to the site.
Gets the first kill, knows there's only 1 player left, knows exactly where he is. Just wait for the reinforcements to get there. You don't need to go for the hero play. And now Fnatic are on the edge of getting their 15th round on the board here in a situation I didn't really expect to happen, considering how Renegades started things off. It was 10-5 first half, and Renegades have been on 14 for, what, the last 8 rounds now?
Yeah, it's been a long streak from Fnatic, and we said it at the time, you can never count out the Swedes. Just for anybody wondering where the wheel of fortune goes, it is now for JW's turn again. Hey, after Golden just gets a double, oh, okay, yep, there we go. It was bound to happen eventually, where I call someone out and go, oh, it's their turn, and they die.
So this is 2020, Tom. 2019, Tom was very, very careful.
Ah. What's the point in being careful? There's no fun in that. Either way, the early aggression out from JW is actually going to fail miserably, but they do still have 3 players left defending this site. They leave Golden alone. He's got a smoke available, but at the same time, he can easily be isolated out of this B site. This is the opportunity that the Renegades were looking for. They've got that opening pick. Crims is in the corner once again. They seem a little bit more wise to this position. They also have a couple of incendiaries. It's just whether they want to use them for this exact purpose. They know that they'll need one for the pit when it comes to the execution. And actually, the players rotated off Arch, so Crims is on his own. Dexter has been looking here for the majority of the time, so if this is not checked, I may actually cry. Smoke going to be going down. Flusher leaves Crims completely isolated, and Dexter checks the corner. Not going to allow for this again. He does get traded out, but even still, that gives them far more of an opener. But they've got to clear Brolin, and once again, he steps up. It's a triple kill off the back of the SG. As said, he's a player that's tough to clear as it is, but having that SG in hand is always so difficult. Hat, he's managed to kill, but he's got 9 seconds and about the same HP. Brolin, another 4K, so I'm sorry, the wheel... I don't even know. Maybe it was his turn. I've lost count at this point. But how many big plays? That's basically the point I'm trying to make. I get that it's a stupid analogy, but how many individual big plays have now come out of Fnatic? 3Ks, 4Ks, be it a defuse in the last second. Fnatic have just had these players stepping up exactly when they need them, and we have gone from what was a dominant position in the opposition's favor to now Fnatic just 1 round away from 2-0ing the series.
Just having that advantage too. So unfortunate for Renegades not to be able to close that out, all because of one player in the pit. And let's see though, can they throw it into overtime here in round number 30 on our second map? They're by. There's really not much to be said about it, unfortunately.
I think this was 14-6.
It's not good. Spray down Brolin again. Does this guy miss many shots with the SG? Finally one comes through, but the damage has been done. Smoke comes in to delay any sort of push out of apartments. You have Ins flanking him from behind, which might have an opportunity, but JW quickly shuts that one down, and it's all on Malta and Sicko to keep Renegades' hopes alive in their opening match of Intel Extreme Masters Katowice as they come out of apartments and straight into the welcoming arms of Fnatic.
That was impressive. Like, that was like a vintage Fnatic comeback. This is something that they've been doing for years and years and years, but either way, what a way to close out the series. We're going to be back after what is a short break, and we'll be breaking this one down.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call the shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stopped till I finish. Yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel distracted, your best, my average, there's a reason for that's a fact. So they snapping back, mad at the fact that I don't have a backup plan, I need that. Outworking everybody when I relax, so I ain't tripping about none of y'all feedback. Heard that, wonder when I'm gonna peak at. And that's why you count your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish, yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. Shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'm a dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, Vodafone, and Euronics.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020 Masters Championship. Jason Knapp and Tom Biz, if you just joined us, you missed out on Fnatic's excruciating comeback that came into a victory for them to pull off a 2-0 up against Renegades. And we're going to break down the match a little bit more before we do bring in our lazy other casters who had to sleep in the hotel, just walked in their PJs 20 minutes ago. Now, they've been here for a while. We do have Vince and Wolfie coming up next. But that was a crazy game. Honestly, Brolin, I was looking at like the overall, like, you know, KD from the entire series. He finished at plus, if I can read correctly, I don't have my glasses, 19. And then you had JW at 21. But Brolin continuing his streak is what I was going at from their last 4 tournament performances where he's plus 135 overall. So he's really carrying his weight in Fnatic, 100%.
Yeah, like he was one that before he joined the team was basically sought after, and when he joined, he basically proved why. And he had a great series, but I think the bigger talking point is ignore map 1. That was a blowout. That was just Fnatic all day long. Map 2, it was Renegades. It was their map. Like they should have taken it. They were 14-6 up, and they lost 16-14. They lost 10 rounds in a row, and like it started off as a point where you could be quite forgiving. Like you could go, okay, that could have gone their way. That could have gone their way. This could have gone right. Towards the end, they weren't even like able to trade on like frags. Like we were talking about the wonders of how Fnatic were playing. Like we were saying, oh look, this player got a multi frag, then this player, then this player, then this player, and it literally went round in a circle so that every single player on Fnatic had like a clutch play, and then Brolin went, screw the circle, I'm just going to kill everyone now. And it was too much. Like, if 1 or 2 of those happens where, like, there's a mistake, or you miss, like, a trade, or you don't check an angle properly or something, or maybe there's not a Molotov for Brolin or something like that once or twice. But when it happened, like, 6 or 7 times out of 10 rounds, and then the other rounds are basically up against pistols, that's where I think they're going to watch back this demo and go, okay, we could have won that round. We could have won this round. We could have done better in this round. Yeah. Which, obviously, you can take, in terms of the grand scale of things, as a positive. You can go, they should have won that map. Which, if you're looking at Renegades going into the tournament facing off against Fnatic, you're going to give the favor to Fnatic, no matter who you are, really. Even with how well like Renegades have done at building up and getting better and better with their new player of Hats. But at the same time, you then have to look at that and go, okay, yeah, sure, if we'd won a map, that would have been a benefit. That would have been a good showing from us. But if we throw away a map in the fashion that they did, I think they're going to be disappointed. At least the thing is going into the lower bracket matches, they can go like, right, these were our mistakes. This is where things went wrong. If we'd done this differently, we could have won it. And I mean, speaking of the lower bracket, we have to remind you that they play against the loser of Na'Vi and FaZe. Oh dear. So it's going to be just as hard, if not harder, potentially for them. And looking at Inferno in particular, like again, like, as you're pointing out, like they lost 10 rounds straight, right? But there were so many opportunities within those rounds that they could have like won. Like just thinking back, not to like
harsh on him too much. That 1v1 with Sicko against JW, if he just hides a little bit longer, I think he maybe misjudged the time left on the bomb, then he would have won
it. To be fair, so did we.
Yeah, so of course we did, yeah.
I thought he'd won that. So it is one of those, like that one, I actually don't, I'm not going to ever blame him for that scenario. Like if you're less than a 1v1 and it comes down to 0.1 of a second defusal, like that's unfortunate. Like that's unlucky.
Yeah.
The thing that got me about the last few rounds at least was just how the aggressive peaks that were coming in from Fnatic went unpunished. Whereas if you look at the earlier rounds, they were much better at like shutting down those plays. They were good on Banana. They actually had some really good plays. So I'm looking forward to seeing them later. The unfortunate truth is, if anything, the next match will be even harder.
Yeah, and I'm also looking forward to our final match of the day. Mousesport's up against Tai Lu. I'm curious to see how Zeta can do within the team, since he's only been in there for about a month's time. They've been able to boot camp here in Europe over in Kiev. But that's going to be brought to you by Vince and Wolfie. We're done for the day. We're going to go home. Well, I'm going to go home. He's going to go back to the hotel and relax. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. But make sure you stick around for our final match of the day here on the B Stream. Mousesports and Tai Lu.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I want to conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of
Let's get Australia in the arena. Cherry, Provan, he'll find 3 in total. That is something.
He wasn't the classic nerdy computer kid in school. He was one of the ones to get a girlfriend first and a very social person.
Typical for Finn is that he is very determined.
Ist egal, ob es jetzt beim Kartenspielen ist oder beim Tischtennis oder beim Computer, er gibt nicht auf.
What he really wants is to win a major. It's his dream, and therefore it's also my dream for him to get that.
call my bluff for the last time. This ain't a song, it's a battle cry. No life. I see the clue between the strobe lights and honey.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020 coverage here on the B stream. Jason and Tom did an excellent job, but they're done for the day. And myself, I'm Vince, I'm going to be joined by Wolfie, his debut for Katowice. It's going to be awesome. You've got to be hyped for that.
Very much so. It's absolutely insane to be here. The studio is awesome. Everything about this experience so far has been awesome, and I'm hoping the CS will live up to the hype.
I think this first match may not be the closest, but it may be exciting, it may be entertaining, because we do have Mouse Sports against Tai Lu, and it is a bit of a David versus Goliath story here, let's be honest. Mouse Sports up there, ranked the very top of the ESL rankings. Tai Lu have been slipping and sliding for quite some time. Blair, I know you're watching, brother. I know you've had a love-hate relationship with Asian CS, and it may very well continue today, because the big story here is Ben Tet. He's no longer with Tai Lu. He has moved on to greener pastures. He is doing very good work elsewhere. Yeah. So Tai Lu, there's a question. Can these guys still deliver? They've got Zeta coming in. How's he going to fare?
It's an interesting one. I've seen a lot of people getting very hyped up about Zeta, and honestly, I don't see it at this level. It looks a little bit like I think he was a 1.0 average against top 50 teams in the last 6 months. He sort of performs really well when he's coming up against lesser opposition, but we haven't seen him playing at this level against teams of the caliber of Mouse Sports as well, right? Currently #1 in the world by ESL rankings. They are a class roster, and Tai Lu, I think taking a map is going to be a success at this point.
I think that's fair. If you look at the likes of the odds, etc., it's heavily in favor of Mouse Sports, and for good reason. I think when we look at the map pool in particular, something that you've highlighted, we talked about this as well off camera. The map pool for Mouse Sports is just so much better. They can feasibly play almost any map, whereas Tai Lu, it's a little bit more limited than that.
Yeah, I mean, Mouse, they're incredibly strong on 5, and then they've got 2 that they're happy to play as well. So they've essentially got that 7 map pool, whereas Tai Lu, they're comfortable on 4 and they'll play a 5th. They've got 2 that basically they're never going to play. They've got their Nuke and their Vertigo. That just isn't getting played under normal circumstances, which really puts them at a disadvantage in the best of 3 as well, right? They've got to be on one of those maps. Surely Mouse are going to pick the weaknesses of their opponent, get some practice, because Mouse, they're not amazing on those maps, but they're going to be feeling confident against a team who have 0 and 1 map on those respectively.
Absolutely. Speaking of the veto, we do have it available now to have a quick look through to see where this match is going to come down, the battlefields that we can expect. So the bands of Nuke, Overpass, Inferno first pick from Tai Lu, historically a map that they do have some success on at the very least, and then Mouse Sports going for the Dust 2 pick.
It sort of reads how you'd expect it to be played. Interesting that Mouse Sports are happy to leave Vertigo in this late, and they're thinking about it for the last one as well, but it's statistically still very much Mouse Sports' pick, and it's very much their stomping ground to get through this one, and arguably they're picking D2 as a little bit of a practice, right? They got about a 75% win rate on it on LAN in the last 3 months. Get some practice, get some experience against a team who are known for being those high fragging players, and then maybe later in the pool you're going to feel way more confident as the rounds go on.
Sorry, I got distracted by the bald head of Tom in the background. I mean, I've got a little bit more than him, so I can make fun of him. That's how it works. I think him and Moses, the only people who have less hair than me in esports. I'm going to hold on to that for as long as I can. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Maybe it is a chance of trying to get some practice in, but I will also say Tai Lu historically, yes, different rosters, yes, different circumstances, but going back to the likes of DreamHack Masters, Malmo, a team that turned a lot of heads, caused a lot of upset, they are a best of 1 specialist team. On their day, they can knock down some significant teams, and they have done so in the past, but the best of 3 element here just adds to the doubts in my mind whether they can actually pick this up against Mouse Sports. I suppose if we look at the optimistic side of things, we try and play devil's advocate, it's the first game for both these teams. Maybe it's going to be a slow start, although it's not the first game of the day. Plenty of time to wake up. Plus, only having that 1 game to prepare for Carrigan, you better believe he's done his homework on this Tai Lu side.
And it absolutely looks like he does in every way. The veto's played out near enough as expected. He's played to his team's strengths and also still managed to pick up some of Tai Lu's weaknesses, which is always going to be key when you come to these best of 3s. And as I said in the pregame, they are the best of 1 specialists. I think taking a map is going to be significant for them, just getting on the board, because they didn't actually qualify for this event. They came in because Vici had visa issues. So just take a map, give yourself something to believe in, and then maybe as they start dropping down into that lower bracket, we see them putting up some serious fights against other rosters. But I don't see this going any other way than Mousesports.
Yeah, the last game they actually played was against Vici, and they suffered a pretty significant loss. It was a best of 5. They did start, it was a weighted best of 5, so they started with a 1-0 lead, but they blitzed it 3-0. It was very, very comfortable. I believe, though, we are very shortly getting into the game, so we're going to have some awesome Counter-Strike coming up very soon. So in terms of how many maps do we think Tyloo are going to get? I know you said if they can pick up one, it's going to be a good news for them. Do you see that being a possibility, though, with Inferno and Dust 2 up first?
Oh, the maps just don't play to them. That's their problem now. The maps that have been picked up aren't their favourites. They aren't ones... Yes, they've stolen them away in best of 1s, but in a best of 3, with Karrigan having, as you said, this to prep for. This is his day done after he takes out Tyloo. So I don't see a world where they take this. I've got to go with the Mousesports 2-0.
Cool, yeah, I definitely agree. I think this has got 2-0 written all over it. I hate to be like the bringer of bad news. I hate to be pessimistic, but you just got to be realistic. You just got to be real with this. It would be a huge, huge upset if they're able to somehow get this win. But, of course, if they do lose, it's not all over. The way that this tournament is stacked is more of a double bracket elimination system, so you go into a lower bracket. It's not all done, whoever loses this game. Mousesports will likely move along to the upper bracket, and we already have some pretty solid teams out there waiting for them. We've already seen Fnatic, for example, claw back. What a strange previous game that was. What was it, 14-6 at one point, I think, to Renegades, and then they just seemed to choke it. Crim's had one of the worst performances I've seen from him in a long time on Inferno, and they still won. So you've got those kind of teams waiting for them in the wings if they do win.
Yeah, and I think that really has set the benchmark for the quality of CS we're seeing. Right, Renegades, they got absolutely stomped on map 1. They came back and they looked so good for so long, and then it just fell apart at the seams, and everything Fnatic did seemed to be touched with gold, and it was just perfect across the board. Several players picking up multi-kills, and of course Brolin just going absolutely huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those scenarios as well where we're at the start of the year. We did have the player break. Yes, we've had some events. You've had the Blast, you've had DreamHack Leipzig, which is obviously part of the ESL Pro Tour now.
Yep.
And the rankings of Anaheim are also starting to take shape with some very young, impressive players like Obo from Complexity. He didn't quite make it, but still looked incredibly good in the process. All these rankings are kind of shaping into position. You have Mousesports, top of the ESL rankings. Whether they're top of the world or not, in most people's eyes, is yet to be seen. Astralis, obviously, are definitely up there. One of the best teams of all time, some people would argue, and I'd certainly be on that side of things. But this is a chance for Mousesports now to really stamp their declaration of intent onto the battlefield and say, look, come at us. We are the best team. You have got to beat us. You know, we don't have a point to prove here. You've got to come take this crown from us. So let's hope that Mousesports do come out swinging here and they don't stumble.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They've got to put their marker down. They've won a couple of smaller events. They obviously want to be carrying on that momentum from Pro League Season 10 as well, coming into map number 1 here. And it's just going to be about, can they put that early stamp on, put a big performance in against Tyloo, see some of those individuals turning up early, and really just say to Astralis, we're here and we're here to fight as well.
Well, here we go. Inferno, the first battlefield of this best of 3. And we're getting things kicked off, although it may not be live just yet, as I can see Chris J's chilling at spawn.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be waiting a little while longer. Everybody just taking a quick breather. They got us all excited for that, and then everything just slows down to a grinding halt. But hopefully we'll be back into things very shortly, and gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to talk about the new boy Zeta. And it's an interesting switch as well, because with Bentech gone, they lose their caller. So it's going to be, oh, they're thinking about it.
It seems we are actually live after all. Maybe just a bit of confusion from Chris J at spawn there, but that they are playing as though this is live. So they're going to be rummaging up on Banana. 3 players there from Mousesports. Still 2 smokes and flashes, so Tyloo can try and sell a fake, especially considering they have Freeman over on the A side of the map.
He's thinking about the lurk, but 4 players just going to barrel in towards this B bomb site and try and take it clean. Frozen still alive towards the back boxes, and now they swarm into the site. Somebody in Zeta, though, able to find a frag apiece, leaving Karrigan all on his own. Nothing he can do. A little bit of a team kill coming in as well, but the 2 players trying to rotate in as the bomb goes down in a 4 versus 2. And how was that so clean for Tyloo?
That is a question that Mousesports and Karrigan will be asking themselves, but this round isn't over just yet. Rop's still alive alongside Voxic. Plenty of ability between the 2 of them. Rops has already chipped in, but his compadre has gone down. in amongst the ruckus, and he's going to be a laboured tapping duel against somebody who uses the USP against the CTs. And Tyloo do claim first blood in the best of 3.
I think importantly as well, somebody shows up immediately and gets on the board, and Zeta as well finds himself an early frag as they push into that B bomb site. And it was a 3-man hold from Mousesports. They had 3 players who rotated into the site, and they just got absolutely demolished. So for Tyloo, a little bit of a confidence builder, perhaps coming off the back of their boot camp, of course, as Mousesports go immediately for the force buy, fairly common on the CT side at this point. Plenty of utility to back it up as well, and 5 deagles across the board.
Definitely not lacking in the ability to push Tyloo out of this round, but Tyloo, 2 assault rifles to their name, and they're playing this one slowly, not giving anything away just yet. Starting to make a move up Banana now, 3 players strong, but the bomb is dropped back towards T-Spawn. Declaration of intent, they're not going to go aggressive anytime soon.
Understandable as well. Just send a few of those SMGs out, get the information, try and make sure the CT side aren't getting too aggressive and can pull off a stack and try and put 4 players towards a bomb site you're heading towards. So Banana control taken. Now they'll slowly explore the apps through Summer and Freeman, just clearing all of their angles. Tyloo, time on their side with 1:05 still left on the clock. Bomb still all the way back in spawn, so absolutely 0 risks being taken as they look to meticulously clear their way onto one of these bomb sites.
Slow and steady wins the race as far as Tyloo are concerned. They're still not entirely sure what Mousesports have in store, but now they know. Voxic delivering the deagle first class into the head of Summer. I know you have a few points to raise about him. We'll get back to that in a moment as Freeman has to just try and traipse over middle. The bomb is still dropped at T-step. Someone's going to have to go back and pick that up, and it will be Freeman now. So it looks like they've completely banked all in. They've put their chips on the table, Wolfie, and they say B is the site to go.
Frozen and Carrigan with a huge job to do that. 1D has just forced Tyloo in towards this B-bomb site, and now the play comes through. Frozen with the spam, able to get the first, coming out with the second deagle headshot from the coffins as well. And Tyloo, they just don't look like they know where to go now. Freeman, an attacker, bailing out of the play with 10 seconds left on the clock. The round surely is over as Freeman even going to go down to Rops at the very death of things. An attacker, nothing he can do with the AK-47. All 5 players on the CT side stay alive. With just deagles, they dismantle Tyloo.
That's a whole bunch of weaponry that's going to trade hands. A huge economic boom for Mousesports. Tyloo, oh, they've got to twiddle their thumbs and figure out what to do from here. They may even force buy. They're in that very awkward position of being around the $1,400 mark, where you can't even feasibly save and get a buy in the next round. So you may as well just have another crack at it now. This does put them down to just deagles and 1 flash on their T side. Not even a single smoke to play with.
How do you look to get any map control with no utility on Inferno? Somebody going to be completely locked out of Banana with the mollies and the smokes, and that's going to give Mousesports even more information to work with as Summer is desperate to get something going, but teammates falling around him, somebody taken out by Carrigan in the early engagement, and immediately a 5-on-4 for the T side to deal with. They are looking to group up towards this A bomb site, as Attacker does manage to take down Chris J, and Woxic, with just a deagle to his name, is going to back off, switch out to the MAC-10 to try and take things a little bit up close and personal.
The 2 teams clashing heads, but deciding to back out of their Tyloo. Frozen by himself on B, taking a more forward position with his UMP. He's just hopping for information for the time being, allowing the rest of his team to go towards A. Carrigan, the linchpin of the rotation, thinking twice about this, because now Frozen's seen them. Smoke goes out, he's going to be chased down, goes in for the repeat with the UMP, but comes out completely empty-handed. Did significant damage to Summer, but that's not enough to stop them from getting onto the bomb and getting this planted down, and Carrigan needs to wait for the rest of his team to arrive. He actually goes out there prematurely, does drop Zeta in the process, goes back in for seconds, and for thirds, Carrigan leading by example with the AK-47, and only Summer remains with a measly 20 HP. And it won't be happening for him. It was looking like it slipped away from Mousesports, but they are going to get the defuse.
Tyloo looked like they had half an opportunity there, but Carrigan showing up in a big way, the fragging IGL, a triple on the AK-47, just to lock things down and just to restore a little bit of order to Mousesports' CT side. It's going to put them in a great position again. That economy just not there for Tyloo, as once more they're going to be looking at deagles and a couple of upgraded pistols, all they can really afford, and it's Mousesports who will come out better from the early engagements, just starting to build their half. It feels like they've got 3 rifles on the board. Now Chris J still with just a deagle in his hands, and Woxic sticking around with the MAC-10 as they look to farm a little more cash off of what ends up to be just 4 deagles for the T side.
I suppose if you were trying to look at the optimistic, positive sides, they didn't have much better of a buy last round. They nearly made it stick. This is something that may be reverbing in the back of mousesports' minds as well, collectively. This time, Karrigan is over with Frozen to start things off on Banana, but it's almost an identical play. He smokes down to the bottom of Banana. Frozen stays in position, this time with the M4 as opposed to the UMP. Chris J being pressured, being pivoted on, but he comes out swinging with the MAC-10. Plenty of damage has been done. Voxic missing all the bullets, and Summer and somebody both chipping in with 2, but this is where the superior firepower will rise to the top alongside mousesports for a 3-1 lead.
Karrigan helping himself to all the eco frags, isn't he? 7 in quick succession, the quad kill on the spray down, and it was kind of unfortunate that Chris J and Woxic, with so little firepower to work with, ended up being the first players to take the contact there. It gave a couple of frags to Ty Lue, helps them build up a little bit more bank, but it's still not great as they do go for their first buy on Inferno. Just the one Krieg being brought out as well. A decent bank of utility to try and find and execute somewhere, but Freeman yet to get himself a single kill on the board as the full buy comes out, and of course Woxic immediately gets the AWP into his hands and training down spawn as a fast play towards top Banana comes in. Ty Lue looking to up the pace as they're known for, but the counter nades are decent for mousesports. They find a couple of chips of damage. The Molotovs buy them a little bit of time to rotate back towards the bomb site. And now Ty Lue just looking to bail out of things, but Karrigan swings and catches somebody in the middle of no man's land. That's an easy frag to find, and once again, mousesports with the man advantage, and Ty Lue looking a little bit lost. They're playing very passively, and they're just taking that top Banana control, but they're getting picked apart. Woxic has found another one with Rops, so advanced in the apartments here. Freeman doesn't expect it. He's taken out, and Zeta and Attacker, they've got to try and take this B bomb site all alone in the 5-on-2. They're slowly creeping their way in, but are they going to expect this boosted angle from Karrigan as the push starts to come? They're slowly jiggle peeking every possible angle. Attacker is going to find the first, but the trades are immediate. Frozen, then Woxic, and that's how you hold down 2 bomb sites. mousesports absolutely perfect, just losing the one man and really starting to build up that CT economy.
They sure are, while cutting short Ty Lue. They are into a position where pistols and not much else will likely be the order of play. Now, I know you wanted to kind of highlight the leadership aspect of Ty Lue, and seeing as this round is a half buy and unexpected. Actually, they're putting more into this than I was expecting. Somebody down to $1,100. I thought this would just be Deagles, not much else.
It looks like they've got a really specific plan to this round, and hopefully Summer's leadership is going to work out as somebody takes the early tag through the floor down to 23 HP, but they've picked up a lot of utility coming into this one, and you did highlight it. Of course, with Bentech gone, they lost their IGL Ty Lue, and they've forced Summer almost to become the replacement as they bring in Zeta to give them a little more firepower. And they've boot camped with him for a little while, a couple of weeks at best, and you do wonder that's such a seismic change for a team to have to deal with, and if the calls are necessarily going to be up to scratch coming into this one. And honestly, this round looks like a pretty good example at the moment. Full utility brought out with just the half buy of pistols, plenty of early damage done, but perhaps still an opportunity to get into this A-bomb site. 3 players in the apartments, and it's going to be Chris J to draw first blood onto somebody straight through the smoke, and is the plan going to fall apart with a man lost as Woxic finds the second on the AWP, and this half buy is falling apart at the seams. Woxic looking for more, does take the dink, and Attacker will finally find the frag, but that's all she wrote. Just the one frag from such a heavy investment on Ty Lue's side of things. They are going to be able to buy, but is that the right call?
I would say in this kind of a situation with the round loss bonus, they may feel like they have to. They're going to have to turn the tides quickly. They've got max round loss bonus coming up, obviously, on the T side. You can really afford to go in for those full buys that much more than the CT. 2 SGs as well, even though it did get a minor nerf, I suppose, being buffed up by, or nerfed down, I should say, by $300 extra investment. Hasn't really affected the Ts whatsoever. And I love this play from Karrigan. He decides, let's just go straight up and meet the Ts where they live and try and evict them. He does get a kill, more information gathered, but Voxic's also chipped in with a frag. So just keeping Ty Lue on their tiptoes, keeping the man advantage in favor of mousesports.
That second frag from Woxic was absolutely crucial. Just gives mousesports that room to breathe and the room to play the CS they want to play. Because you're right, that aggression, not exactly normal to say the least, but Karrigan happy to get aggressive, knowing that the AWP is going to be backing him up. But now the pressure starts to pivot, and it's going to head back towards the B-bomb site. Frozen with the smoke and the timing will be able to take down the first, but Summer straight through it will find the refrag, and that's an open B-bomb site as well. Fast rotation starting to come through, but they're not going to catch the bomb. It will be able to make its way across onto the site with Woxic. A huge job to do. Oh, he almost spots out Freeman, but bomb will go down, and a 3v2 retake, in fact, for mousesports to try and contend with.
The post plant is looking
very doable on Mouse Sports. They still have a HE, a couple smokes and a couple flashes. Tyloo segregated. Opposite sides of the site. Smoke's being tossed down into ruins. Chris J now taking the inroads, trying to regain what was once theirs. Trying to cultivate the clutch, but Summer says no. Smoked off on the coffins, but he's allowed the opportunity to start to make a move around the side. Meanwhile, his teammate's gone down, and Mouse Sports will be successful with the retake after all. It's a valiant attempt for Tyloo, but they just come up short in the end.
Just not quite able to make it happen, and it looked like there was a little bit of miscommunication. When the first player finds that first frag, you're thinking 2-on-2, great, they've got the B-bomb site on lock, the crossfires are here, they just need to hold their nerve, but 2 quick frags from Mouse Sports, and it all falls apart. And of course, on that maximum loss bonus, as you said, Tyloo, they are going to be able to keep buying into this one, but it's at the sacrifice, right? Somebody's just got 1 flashbang to his name. The rest of the teammates are able to pick up the utility and perhaps compensate, but you've got to wonder, what's the strategy coming into this round? Where do you look to go? Because Mouse Sports at the moment, they are pulling your strings like a puppet master, and Woxic, again, fancies the peak, and that is one hell of a shot to open things up. Zeta goes down, and the new boy is already lost for Tyloo.
He has been lost at sea, and Freeman is capsizing time and time again. Still yet to get a single kill on the board as we move into round 8. Is that sad statistic going to continue, or can he change his fortunes round? Attacker, next player to fall. It's all been Mouse Sports. Remember, Tyloo won the pistol. Since then, one-way traffic, and Mouse Sports barreling down the freeway, out of control. Freeman 007, he has been added to the agent's list. 7-1 Mouse Sports. Can Tyloo feasibly even get back on the board? This is looking so brutal now.
It has to be time for a timeout, right? They have to take a 30-second pause, because after winning that pistol, as you said, everything has gone wrong, and Mouse Sports just look like they're running away with it at this point. So for Tyloo, I think in the next round or so, you have to be taking a timeout, thinking about it. Maybe even use this round as your timeout, right? It's a half buy. You've only got the pistols to work with. Your utility is limited. Just have a discussion. How do you start to pick apart this Mouse Sports defense that is just looking way too strong at the moment and way too confident as well, as Frozen helps himself to a freebie, taking banana control away and taking out Attacker in the process.
Does feel a bit like deja vu. Mouse Sports take banana control. Tyloo are battered where they stand, and Freeman at least has got on the board. Not that it really matters much. Feels like a drop in the bucket. Mouse Sports continue to apply the pressure. And yeah, again, Tyloo, they've got a bye coming up. This has got to be the time you call a timeout, surely. There you go.
There we go. They have to do it, right? They're 8-1 down. They know they've lost the lead at the halftime. They know everything is looking just awful for them at the moment. So take this time out. Take time to mentally reset. Basically start again. Go, it's 0-0 now. We can take 6 more rounds. We can come in with a decent half and head on to that CT side, because statistically, Tyloo were always a T-sided team, right? They got aggressive, they went fast and powerful, and they took teams just by surprise, and that hasn't happened so far. And in fact, arguably, Mouse Sports have been taking them by surprise.
Yeah, that Karrigan push down middle has really been the lock and the key of Inferno so far. Completely agree with you. It was always Tyloo's unpredictability that caused so many issues for teams. But again, this is why we go back to what we said earlier. It's a best of 3. Karrigan's had time to fully prepare just for this matchup. So any kind of unpredictable plays, you know he can read off a script from miles away. But let's see if Tyloo are going to change anything. Their timeout comes to a close. As you say, the timeout maybe can start the ball rolling. We just saw on Inferno Fnatic pull off a sick comeback. So Tyloo have got to take motivation and inspiration from that.
Maybe Zeta on the AWP can be the catalyst as well, as once again, Mouse Sports, they want this banana control. And Karrigan, he's heard the footsteps, but the flash, that's good. And somebody will capitalize. Somebody actually going to find a quick double kill, as Woxic, perhaps a little bit too keen to peek down banana and support his IGL, gets taken out, and now Frozen with a huge job to do. Able to find the first, and the damage is significant onto Attacker, but there's so much support, and Zeta, he wants to get his name back on that board. 1 kill at the moment, and he is going to help himself to a second, taking down Frozen and forcing a full CT rotation as well. Mouse Sports fully gambling on this B bomb site, and with the bomb all the way back in spawn, Tyloo, they've just got to loop around, go back towards A. They've got Summer and Freeman set up for the execute, and the round is theirs.
It really should be theirs. This is their round to lose at this point.
I can at least respect, though, that Mousesports, after the timeout, still tried their shenanigans. They still tried to mess with the minds of Tyloo by playing in Banana. And you better believe, as this half continues forward, Tyloo are not going to be certain about anything. They're going to have to expend a lot of utility. They're going to have to go for these shoulder peaks, which could move into grenade stacks, could move into being AWP'd from the likes of Voxic, peeking down Banana. So I like that Karrigan is this game of chess. It's his mental game where he's trying to position Tyloo where it gives Mousesports the best opportunities to exploit them. So watch for that going forward, even though, as you highlighted, it's a gamble stack on B. It's not going to work out for them, but at least they can save these guns.
Not that they really need to. The cash is so good on that CT side. They are going to be able to buy fully. Although I take that back immediately because I've just noticed it's 2 Kriegs.
Yeah.
And you would sell your mother for having 2 Kriegs on the CT side. It's absolutely incredible what this Krieg can do for a CT side. But as you said, Karrigan, he's happy to get aggressive and just put that doubt in Tyloo, which again, I think comes back to Summer being relatively new to this IGLing role. This is the first time he's really had to do it at a big event. And then Karrigan just constantly applying that pressure and making absolutely sure that he can't settle in, right? He can't start calling the calls. He knows because Karrigan's pushing down mid and they're trapping them in spawn, so he can't set himself into the game. And I think that is going to be really important moving forward as Tyloo do get their second round. And I expect we're going to see the same again from Mousesports coming into round number 11, just pushing, getting aggressive, and just trying to catch Tyloo off guard.
I suppose another issue for me, and I'm not sure if maybe you know the answer to this, but with Zeta coming in fairly recently around January, I assume he speaks Chinese. I mean, he's South Korean, so does he only speak Korean? Does he speak Chinese? I know that Tyloo have had issues with communication barriers in the past. You mentioned before Ben Tet, they've had other players come in that couldn't all be on the same page. So maybe a bit of a query and a question mark out there as to how Zeta will fall in.
It's an interesting dilemma for a team that has always traditionally been a Chinese roster, right? You lose one player, then you pick someone up who doesn't necessarily speak the language. And what do you do then? Do you try and make Zeta learn Chinese, or do you go to a common middle ground and have sort of mediocre English? As Zeta taken out almost immediately, so we won't find out in this round. Rops gets the second as well onto Summer, and the aggression still coming through from Mousesports, not willing to let Tyloo breathe. Frozen gets a third. Banana control is gone. And Freeman and Attacker, again, just left trying to save the situation.
Freeman and Attacker, hot off the back of being successful after their tactical timeout, our backs to the wall and nowhere to run but forward, and that's into Karrigan's arms. He used to be an AWPer in the bygone age, and he will not miss that chance. Attacker has been eradicated, and Tyloo only have Freeman to stand off. A measly 1 kill to his name is not going to be added to. Mousesports going to keep that total of rounds to Tyloo just to the 2. And this is starting to get a little bit out of control now.
Out of control train, it really is. And Mousesports, you can just feel them growing in confidence as well. As Tyloo, they're just not stringing anything together, and it's very difficult to put it any other way. They've not got that player who's dragging them back into things, who's at least keeping Mousesports' economy honest, right? Karrigan is the only player below $10,000, so their buys are assured until the very end of this first half, and that puts them in such a strong position, and it gives you confidence to go for the more aggressive plays, including nade stacks all the way into spawn as somebody takes a couple of tags, and it just gives Mousesports this freedom that you don't otherwise find yourselves having. They know their buy is set for the rest of the first half, so why not get aggressive, right? Why not try and find that early frag for your team? And actually this time they start to fall back a little bit. Frozen happy to hold towards top. Banana, they've taken the control with utility, but not opted to push it, and it has still funneled Tyloo in towards this A bomb site.
Just posturing, pontificating in the apps, waiting for the green light. Have that MAC-10 in the hands of somebody, maybe the first player to dart out and give his life for the cause. Mousesports playing more aggressively, actually, not having anyone in pit or on site graveyard. None of these backward positions. Now Chris J, as a result of all the smokes and flashes, going to be starting to make a move around. Still 50 seconds. They may think this could be a potential bait, but at this moment, they're now hearing the footsteps. They're hearing the players drop, and Rops picking up the frag onto somebody lets them know exactly what's coming up, but Rops is going to get caught in transition from the Boiler playing Summer. They still haven't fully committed to the site, but now they're going to go for it into the arms of Chris J's SG, and he keeps landing headshots. Only Freeman stands between Tyloo and another round loss. It could be double digits for Mousesports. He has to retrieve the bomb, and in the process of doing it, he loses his head. And Mousesports already in such a commanding position with Tyloo on the back foot once more.
It just fell apart yet again, and that one was just down to fragging power. That was the problem. Mousesports just had everything going their way. Chris J comes up with a couple of huge headshots, but I thought it was really interesting to see Tyloo going for the full execute. Summer, as I said, as soon as he was given a little bit of room to breathe by Karrigan, he's called the full-on execute, full utility, and they've actually gotten into a bomb site, which is the first time in a long time they've achieved that. Granted, they don't manage to get anything more from it, but at least they get into a bomb site. The execute comes off well. They get a little bit of map control, and if a couple more frags go the other way there, then perhaps you find yourselves picking up round number 3.
That is often what CS comes down to. It's a matter of millimeters, milliseconds, woulda, shoulda, coulda, but Mousesports ultimately have just been that step above, that rung of the ladder above Tyloo, and keeping them submerged for the duration of this map. It's a miss from Karrigan, who, by the way, 14-5 over 100 ADR. Does land a leg shot onto somebody, but not the outright frag. And now with the flashbangs, Frozen has to fall back to the site, allowing the T's to push him. But be careful what you wish for, Tyloo. There is some help from Chris J to be found lurking around. Coffins, Rops actually backs outside the smoke. On the fadeaway, connects the headshot to somebody, which drops the bomb down in an awkward position. Rob's now going to be pushing through the Molotov and smoke, relocating to take a more forward angle. And now the situation is pretty much turned. It's Tyloo that have to now try and play a bit more defensively and wait for the oncoming CTs. Voxic shows too much, and he's dealt with by Attacker. And now it's all on Rops. Last seen around Ruins. Can he pull off the 1v2?
Holding his angle, holding his nerve, making absolutely no noise towards Banana, but he can't find anything at all. Attacker with a swift headshot to get Tyloo. Round number 3 on the board, and that was much better from Tyloo across the board. They managed to take down Karrigan early, and then they just rush on that play and trade efficiently. That's all they've needed to do. And for the first time, it pans out. They managed to get that round, and unfortunately for them, they're going to be coming up against a full buy for the CT side immediately afterwards.
That is the nightmare of allowing Mousesports to just run rampage so many rounds. There are no easy gimme rounds from here on out. They're going to have to be beating full purchases on Tyloo. And when you consider that the bulk of Mousesports are over 10 frags, it doesn't bode well. However, somebody going to create some light at the end of the tunnel with a headshot delivered with his AK-47.
Able to find something of an opening pick as Frozen again look to try and take that banana control, but it doesn't quite pan out, and Mousesports on the back foot for the first time in a while. Karrigan switching back to the M4A1 as Tyloo, they're still holding on to this banana control. 3 players looking to re-aggress as Woxic, perhaps thinking about the peak, is just going to hold the angle, wait for somebody to walk into him, and all the timing on this. He spots out Attacker, can't quite find the shot, but on the second time of asking, he will, and he's looking for more. Woxic, the Molotov, will finally dissuade him. Karrigan going to have to stick around behind the sandbags, but Tyloo, they're done with the B-bomb site. They're going to try and head instead back towards A, and there's very little firepower here. Just Rops on the M4A4 to try and hold it down. Sets himself up in a very passive angle to allow Chris J to rotate in, and Tyloo, it's not like them, but they're a little bit slow into this bomb site, allowing Karrigan to get 1 on the backstab, traded immediately by Summer. And 3-on-3 now. How do Tyloo get into any bomb site? Their information is limited. And with Woxic with the AWP towards B, Rops and Chris J on the A bomb site, Mousesports, they could be perfectly set to stop this one.
It just seems like death by indecision from Tyloo so many times. They get into these good positions, as you highlight, and then they slow down to a stroll, to a crawl. And Mousesports just execute them on the approach time after time. Now the crossfire's been established and there's no hope. There's no way. Tyloo have been thwarted once again. If they just push behind that initial gut instinct from Summer to go for the hit, it would have been Rops, you say. Maybe Rops pulls the cat out the bag. Maybe he goes crazy and gets a triple spray down. But more than likely, Tyloo get that side.
They had every opportunity to take that round. They were in the perfect position. Everything was panning out for them. They'd found their picks, and it did just feel like they were hesitant to go and hesitant to believe that they could find the frags. They wanted to hold back and wait for an execute, some utility to come over the top. And that's not the Tyloo we know, right? They were always the aggressive team, the big pushers, the ones who just went fast and furious and just relied on themselves. And is this self-doubt starting to creep into Tyloo now that Bentet's gone, one of those big fraggers for this Chinese roster? Is this the self-doubt, and are they just starting to think, maybe we're not going to hit these shots without the utility there to support us?
I hope not, because as you say, they're only here due to Vici's issues with visas, so you've almost got nothing to lose. You're the heavy underdogs. No one's expecting anything of you, especially after the roster changes, so you may as well come out here all guns blazing.
just go for broke, go swinging out, just like Freeman does. It's good to see him pick up the slack. He had such a poor start, but now he is starting to find his way. As our Tai Lu, it's a 2-for-1 trade. Chris J closes the door, quite literally, of Boiler in the face of Freeman, and able to start to traverse back towards the site, but he is isolated. He is behind enemy lines now, and nowhere to go but for the jugular, and he's not able to pounce in time. Summer will claim his number. Last round of the half, Mousesport's going to go for this, have an open AK to play with.
You couldn't ask for a better retake squad than Frozen and Woxic as well, as bracket control's taken. And how do they look to play this retake? Woxic thinking about the apartments, going to switch out to the AK-47, but Zeta has got Short on lock, and Woxic might be able to keep him out a little while longer with the smokes as they start to use whatever utility they can scavenge to try and get back into this one. Zeta going to be smoked off, has to try and relocate, but over the top of all of them will be able to take out Frozen. Woxic with a 1v3, an AK-47, and nothing he can do. 11-4. Tai Lu at least managed to scramble a semblance of control in that first half.
Tai Lu start the half with the pistol. They end the half with a win, and the filling was all Mousesports. We'll find out if they can get the second pistol after this short commercial break.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call the shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. And no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'm a dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish. Yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. Savage, you've been distracted, your best my average, there's a reason for that's a fact. So they snapping back, mad at the fact that I don't have a backup plan, I need that. Outworking everybody when I relax, so I ain't tripping about none of y'all feedback. Heard that, wonder when I'm gonna peak at. And that's why you count your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish. Yeah. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the
A rough, turbulent half for Tai Lu, at least ended and begun with victory. They're going to have to do more of the same if they want any hope here on Inferno. Mousesports They look prolific there, Wolfie. They were in just a different class.
It just looked all too easy for them. Everybody showing up. Karrigan, the IGL, leading the way with a 99 ADR. And the stats can't be argued with. Nobody went positive for Tyloo, but it's a question of can they hold their own on the CT side as Mousesports looking to up the pace very early on, but somebody with the fadeaway will be able to open things up onto Chris J, and it's actually just slowed them down and made them rethink this pincer. Bomb going to make its way back through the library and look to reapply the pressure onto Freeman and Attacker, but Attacker with a quick headshot, able to take down Rops, and this is good for Tyloo so far. Attacker with another, and Freeman finds one more. Woxic all on his own on the bomb site, absolutely trapped in, and that is more like it from Tyloo. The aim of the individuals just showing through, and it almost looks too easy. It looks like a completely different team as Freeman finishes things off, and it's near enough flawless for Tyloo.
I don't think they could have asked for anything better. I mean, Freeman lost a bit of health, that's it. Like, if you're going to mark that, it's an A+, right? Just an A+ round. And this is one of the win conditions for Tyloo. We always say this. Individually, these guys are very talented. Can they land their shots? It really comes down to that, because tactically, they're pretty inept.
Yeah, it really is. They are just the AIM squad personified, right? They just need to hit everything, and they do in the pistols, so they win in stunning fashion as well. Just everybody looks incredibly crisp, and it's going to give them a bit of a platform to build onto as they do go for the buy, and of course, Mouse go for the force into round number 2. Without the bomb plant, though, that T-sided utility, very scarce indeed. And interestingly, Summer looking to emulate Chris J here as he picks himself up the MP7, and Mousesports look for a little bit of banana control.
Pushing up there with the 2 smokes. One can go CT and coffins. You'd expect if they do fully fledge behind this B hit. They're also sending out Rops and Chris J. And as the scouts through middle can try and look for some information, maybe cause an over-rotation, but Karrigan dropping somebody. That is going to be a weapon trading hands, and it's a UMP, which can shred through armor. That is not insignificant. Plus, it forces Zeta to go round for the rotation. This effectively stacks it a 2-2 formation. Mousesports looking like maybe there's going to be another twist in the back of Tyloo. Maybe history will repeat itself. Remember, they won the first pistol, then instantly lost, and lost 8 rounds in a row.
Firepower starting to come through, though. Attacker with a quick double before he's traded out. The M4A4 making it work. Finally, Frozen able to take him down, but with the majority of firepower over towards this A bomb site, it looked like Tyloo were going to have the hold, and indeed, Mousesports just looking to recover what they can as they loop around through A long, and limited map control to work with. Frozen and Woxic thinking about where they want to go with this one. Freeman using one of his own smokes to give himself some room to breathe, as Woxic should be able to get this bomb down in the 3-on-2. And if there were 2 players you'd want, the firepower you want to try and pull off this clutch, it is Woxic, and it is Frozen up on top of the graveyard looking for the shot, but Summer rips his head clean off, and Woxic on the deagle needing a 1v3, finds the first, knows Freeman's position, but there's still the unknown factor. Zeta looking to make the rotation. Woxic onto the UMP, gets the second, and Zeta in the 1v1. Woxic needs the headshot, and he'll get it as well. Woxic with the 1v3, and the A bomb site is held strong by Mousesports, and that is exactly what Tyloo didn't need.
The catalyst of Tyloo's demise of history has repeated itself. Lightning has struck twice, and you feel like that was the last lifeline that's just been cut away and floats into the nether for Tyloo. It's hard to see how they'll come back from that. That was their hope.
That was everything. That was their buy. That was all they had to work with. They'd won the pistol. They'd made something of it, and they perhaps had an opportunity to start stringing some rounds together as well. Just put a little bit of pressure on Mousesports, but instead, Woxic comes up huge with a 1v3, and now, once again, Tyloo on the back foot. Nice nades to take Chris J down to 20 HP, and the CZ of somebody desperate to capitalize, finding so much damage, but nothing he can do as the reload has to come in, and Karrigan capitalizes. 5-on-4 again for Mousesports, although Frozen and Chris J both very low on HP as Karrigan looking to do it all alone. We'll find the second onto Summer, and he has been great at picking up these pistol frags so far. Zeta just spraying through like crazy. Woxic takes down Chris J in the chaos, but the frags are still going Mousesports' way. Very little health, but they look like they're set to find round number 13.
Yeah, because Attacker also very little health. No ordnance whatsoever to speak of. So, you know, if he has a HE or something, maybe he can just throw it in the perfect position. Maybe he can pull off the dozier. Not going to be happening here. I think he's going to be more than happy just to save one to his CZ, his Kevlar, his smoke. It gives him something at least to play with. Maybe he can try and have a look after the bomb detonation to see if he can find a stray weapon somewhere that's been blown into his path. But it's basically feeding off scraps. In terms of the round, it is done. Mousesports will have a 13-5 lead. It was close. It was chaotic. But again, they got the job done.
And again, Tyloo just not quite able to hit their shots. It felt like there was a couple of CZ sprays there where you felt like that just had to be a headshot, right? They had to find the frag, and perhaps that would have slowed down Mousesports because they just barreled into that B bomb site after finding the initial pick because the reload has to come through on the CZ, and it just all starts to fall apart around that. And Tyloo at 13-5 down with no economy to speak of. It's going to be Attacker with a CZ who has to find something, perhaps try and scavenge one of these SMGs or a rifle away from the T side of Mousesports and give yourselves something to work with to stop Mousesports from just running over you in map 1.
Mousesports certainly picking up the pace in their bulldozer, and Tyloo trying their best to just build some foundations. Attacker needs to be that man, as we said, saving the CZ and the Kevlar. Other than that, it is full USPs. Nothing at all has been invested into this round. That it's more of a slaughter. Carrigan with 2, Rops and Chris J picking up the pieces. And somebody is going to be rotating around. If he's not careful, Frozen will get him in the back with the Mac 10. And it's looking like that's exactly what's about to happen. Although, he's gone Speedway. So maybe he was the player that's going to get caught after all. Indeed, he shall. Nicely done by somebody. It is kind of sad when we're trying to hype up the fact that he's got a kill with a USP when they're still going to lose the round. They're 14-5 behind. It's been that kind of game, though, Wolfie.
It's one of those ones where you've got to pick any shred of hope out of it and any slight frag that comes the way of Tyloo. You've got to hype it up and you've got to give them something because at the moment, nothing is going their way, right? 2 more rounds for Mousesports to take map number 1, and you just worry for Tyloo at this point. They are going to be able to get the buy. It's going to be 5 M4s, but look at the utility again, which is such an integral part of Inferno. When you can't pick up a lot of utility, you don't win rounds on the CT side.
It really is as simple as that. Only smokes, no incendiaries, which are a huge part of that puzzle that you're painting beautifully. As Carrigan tagged down in Banana, he's going to be throwing a grenade of his own. Somebody stands tall, does deliver the fatal blow, and no one's there to counteract either or avenge Carrigan. So it's a bit of a slip-up. Maybe that's one way back in for Tyloo if Mousesports start to get a bit complacent. Take them lightly.
You do worry for Tyloo if that's the only way they're getting back into this is Carrigan starts making mistakes and players start falling. But Frozen's going to wander his way in. Somebody with a nade out gets caught in no man's land, and that's an easy frag. That's going to loop into CT. Some are at least able to find one in response. Gets tagged by the AWP of Woxic, and he's got to try and stay alive, but nothing he can do. Woxic with the wall bang, and the rotation's looking to be cut out by Rops as he's going to go straight through the smoke and hope that he catches a timing. We saw this in the last game as well, but Hats couldn't quite find it. Frozen grabs the first on the Krieg, and at range, he's just looking to take all the advantages he can get over these M4s. Spots out the second player. Rops not quite able to find the backstab, so still a 2-on-2, but with Woxic on that AWP, trained in towards CT, and just the one smoke left for the CT side. How do they get into this one? Woxic with the first, and the last man alive, Attacker, trades 1-for-1, spots out Frozen, but can't quite find it. Mousesports will have map point. And don't forget, this is the map pick of Tyloo.
It is, depressingly. It is their choice of map, Wolfie. I'm really trying to clutch at straws here for positives, but at the end of the day, it's a 15-5, and Tyloo won both pistols.
Yeah, I'm not making it easy for you either, am I?
No, I mean, you've got to be honest, right? At the end of the day, Mousesports, we came into this game, we even discussed this before we went live. We were like, look, Tyloo heavy underdogs. They're probably going to get battered. They're probably going to get absolutely ravaged. That's precisely what's happened so far.
And Mousesports, worryingly, have made it look quite easy, right? They've just torn Tyloo apart, and their T-side is always going to be very impressive against Tyloo. As Attacker actually able to get aggressive and find the first onto Rops, but the T-side have just swarmed all around them. They've gone straight past the CT defense and into this A bomb site, so Freeman with a huge job to do. Nothing he can find. Attacker desperate to get aggressive, but Chris J will help himself to a second. And the CT side, you saw what they were trying to get done with the aggression, but they had nobody there to cover their backs. So Mousesports get a free bomb site. And at 15-5, Tyloo, they've got to try and go for this one, but Frozen is already in position to cut it out. He'll get the spray down onto the first. Zeta at least able to trade on that scout, but still a 3 versus 2 for somebody in Zeta as the Krieg is recovered. So Tyloo, they're not out of this one yet, but they got to start winning some aim duels as Carrigan takes down somebody, and Zeta's cleaned up. 16-5 the scoreline. And man, oh man, Mousesports, they just make it look easy.
Both pistol wins to Tyloo, and Mousesports still comfortably get out ahead 16-5, as you said. Blinking, you would have missed that map, but we're going to go to a quick break and allow Tyler a bit of a detox period, so we'll be right back.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. Savage, you've been distracted, you're best my average, there's a reason for that's a fact. So they snapping back, mad at the fact that
On Intel Extreme Master Certified PCs, you'll find a gold badge. It means you'll find brilliance inside, that you'll get high-grade components like Intel Core i7 and i9 processors that'll deliver the uncompromised performance you need to game like a pro. Not to mention, every purchase supports the prize pool of Intel Extreme Masters. Intel, unleash your brilliance.
Everybody loves an underdog. Who needs to be liked?
Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
For them, to simply exist is not enough. They must strive for more. They risk everything to build a legacy, just to have it torn down. Many have tried to reach the unobtainable, but only a few achieve greatness. They have many names. We call them stars. Euronics, a human touch in a digital world.
My name is Jordan Gilbert, aka Nothing.
Hi, my name is Sue Lee. My handle is Smix. I think it's important for these initiatives to happen. Empathy really, really goes a long way, and it always means so much to us, and I think that's where initiatives like this really help.
I encourage everyone in the community, anytime they see bullying, anytime they see someone getting called names, I encourage you to step up and say something.
Good luck, have fun.
Good luck, have fun.
And the next thing I knew, we
ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette by East Versailles. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby, you make me feel something.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel, Vodafone, and Euronics.
Well, it was quite the demolition derby, wasn't it? As Mousesports completely manhandled Tyloo. They won both pistols, only got 5 rounds in total. There's not really that many optimistic or positive things to say from Tyloo's perspective, but all praise for Mousesports.
Yeah, you've got to feel that Mousesports did an incredible job of exposing Tyloo's weaknesses, right? They took advantage of everything they got. Carrigan topped the scoreboard 24-11. That's going to be a big confidence booster for him. And for Tyloo, I want to try and take some positives out of that game. I want to say some nice things. Attacker went 16-16. That's the best storyline you get out of that. There's lots of worrying things to talk about. Summer not having a great performance as his first outing in a serious event as an IGL. Xeta, bottom of the scoreboard coming into this one. But to be fair, barely had his hands on the AWP, so can you blame him? And you hope that going into Dust 2, it's fraggier than Inferno. Maybe we're going to see something, but at the same time, you feel like Mousesports are just in Tyloo's heads right now, right? This game feels like it's done already.
Sure, I mean, Dust 2 is one of those maps, it's kind of a cliche, it's more of a pug-centric map, right? But you're against Mousesports, one of the best teams on Dust 2 in the world. I've been saying this for ages. Voxic, for me, one, if not the best AWPer in the world on Dust 2. This is his playground. There's no hiding for Xeta now. You've got to put up or shut up, basically. This is a map he will get the AWP, you assume, if their economy is kept in good shape. Again, this is where winning the pistols and then losing the second round really hurts the AWP more than any other gun. At no point did it feel like they had the economy to justify giving him the AWP. And then Inferno is historically a map where on the T side, it's difficult to AWP anyway. You're not going to get that many chances, especially when Mousesports are constantly knocking the door down of Banana and taking control of it. So I completely agree. Xeta, sure, he's bottom in terms of stats, but you can't really blame him. As a cohesive effort, it wasn't good enough from Tyloo.
Yeah, and the one thing I hope above all else is that Summer is talking to Xeta and saying everything you just said right now, because first major outing for him, first time on this Tyloo roster, coming into Katowice, and it just falls apart. He has an awful game, largely not by his own fault, but if he starts beating himself up over it, and then he comes into Dust 2 and he's coming up against Voxic on the AWP, it's going to be a rough start for him. So I hope, beyond all hope, that Summer has identified it and just gone, look, that wasn't your fault. We all played badly. We didn't give you the situations to make the most of the AWP when you had it, and we forced you to not have it a whole bunch of times. So hopefully that conversation's had and Summer can bring something to map number 2, because I want to see Tyloo fragging out. I want to see those individuals like we saw in the second half pistol.
No, exactly that. It was a 5-man clean sweep. Not a single player lost. I think it was only Freeman that lost a little bit of health. But apart from that, it was so straightforward. And you're thinking, okay, there's a Tyloo that we know. And then they lose the next round, and it's more of the same.
Exactly.
It was off the back of a sick Voxic clutch.
Yeah.
But it still was a round they should never be losing in a million years. And they'll be beating themselves over that. Now, if somehow they do manage to navigate through Dust 2, it doesn't get any easier. Then it's Mirage.
Yeah, there's nothing good coming out of this for Tyloo, is there? Everything feels worse and worse and worse. And Mirage, a 44% win rate on LAN in the last 3 months. That's not good enough on Mirage. That's not going to get you past a 72.7 for Mousesports. That is just not going to happen by any stretch of the imagination. So for Tyloo, I hope they come into Dust 2 swinging, because I think, as I said, a map is a success for them. If they take Dust 2, they start to maybe get a bit of momentum and then head into that lower bracket where teams perhaps aren't so prepared and don't have the strategies to perfectly counter them, as we saw Karrigan doing on Inferno.
Sure, I think it's a case as well of gaining that respect from Mousesports. You know, Karrigan, very respectful guy, great guy. But you give him an inch, he'll take a mile in game. We saw him push down middle a number of times with the M4A1S. He was leading the charge, by the way. 24 kills, as you said, 99 ADR. That is insane. He's not the player that you're looking at to be the top fragger either. So they have so many more gears to go. That's the other bad news for Tyloo fans, as if you haven't had enough. Look, I'm a Newcastle fan, I get it completely. But if you look at Dust 2 as well, recently, Mousesports have beat teams like Mad Lion 16-4. This is a team in form, so even if you look at the recent stats, it doesn't bode well.
It just gets more and more painful for Tyloo the more we talk about it, doesn't it? And you want to draw positives, you want to say something nice to give somebody a hope that Tyloo can take this, but everything points Mousesports' way. Everybody's showing up for that Mousesports roster as well. I haven't seen very many missed shots from them. Woxic was looking hot on the AWP. As I've said already, Karrigan was really great. Frozen had a good series as well with a 1.36. So 3 players showing up, and then you've still got Rops and Chris J coming into D2. So if you lose 2 players, if 2 players go completely mental and just don't frag out at all, you've got Rops and Chris J stepping in, experience and talent combining, and everything feels like it's weighted towards Mousesports at this point. I just hope that Zeta gets his hands on the AWP early, gets a little bit of confidence, maybe go T-side, get a pick through the doors, something like that, something silly that just gives him that belief in himself that he can then sort of springboard into the map from.
I suppose one thing, if we're looking at Optimistics, they want both pistols. If they can continue that on Dust 2, they're always in with a puncher's chance of maybe taking it close. If they can get an inspirational play like the Woxic play, for example, I think it was just the final nail in the coffin for Inferno.
Yeah.
But if somebody from Tyloo can do that, who knows, maybe that opens the floodgates. They can start to really pivot off that and make some plays. But yeah, it is looking a little bit ominous. I know that we're about to jump into this second map, by the way, so you won't need to wait too much longer. I know our Twitch chat is start the game already. Like we just love hearing ourselves speak. So we're like, nah, we're cool, guys. We're cool. But yeah, I mean, in terms of Dust 2, then we mentioned Zeta before as the AWPer. But who else do you really want to see step up to the plate here and deliver if they want a chance?
I want Summer to bring back his old form. That's the big thing for me, because I spoke about it in the pregame as well. Bentet, he was the IGL. He was the caller. They put Summer on that role now, and he used to be pretty much consistently top 2 on the scoreboard. He was always matching Bentet or whoever else popped off on that day, and was always sort of that anchor they relied on to bring them frags all of the time. And you worry that he goes IGL, he can't hit those shots anymore. He's too busy concentrating on the big picture and not focusing on his game, and then it falls apart. So I think for Summer, it's really important for him individually. If he just shows up, even just go level pegging, just don't have a negative KD. Give yourself something to work with and go, okay, so I still can frag, because he went 9-18 in map 1, and I think that is a big problem for Tyloo.
Now, of course, we are running 2 streams simultaneously. We're on the B stream, the A stream in Katowice with some amazing talent and teams, of course. Oh, yeah. You've got Na'Vi and FaZe. It's currently 1-1 in that series. At least that's what it says here in front of me. So FaZe started the first map, winning, I think it was 16-9, somewhere around that mark. Na'Vi bounced right back. Actually, I'll give you the exact statistics, so I'm not guessing here. So yeah, first map was 16-9. That was over on Nuke. Second map, Dust 2, 16-14 to Na'Vi with overpass to play. So if you do want to hop across there and watch that best of 3, by all means. If you want to stay and chill with us, watching Mousesports probably bat at Tyloo again, then by all means stay here with us. We have been told it's going to be very soon until we get into the next map. So, I mean, in terms of your experience so far coming through here, I mean, this is kind of uncharted territory for you, right?
Yeah.
How are you finding it so far?
A little bit terrifying. There's 3 cameras there and they're all pointing at me, and it's a little bit weird to say the least, but I'm enjoying it. It's a really awesome experience, of course, and just being able to watch Tier 1 Counter-Strike and just talk about Tier 1 Counter-Strike, and these are the teams, obviously, I've been watching for years, you know, your Mousesports, your Astralises. I grew up with those teams becoming what they are now, and being able to be here and commentate them is just awesome.
It's an incredible feeling, but it is a little bit surreal at the same time. Yeah. Apparently, a player had some FPS issues, but they have been resolved. So Dust 2 hopefully, fingers crossed, will be on the horizon very, very shortly. This is the pick of Mouse Sports, as we highlighted, so assuming that Tyler will be starting on the CT side. It is a map, though, that itself, I think it's very close. I mean, in a lot of games, it's the T side that typically comes out ahead, especially if they can keep the economy low of the CT side because of AWPs being so prevalent. Plus, something we actually haven't mentioned here, for one of the longest times, Chris J was the best scout player in the world. This is a map you see a lot of scouts picked up on for obvious reasons. So, oh man, I'm depressing myself. It's like every time I speak about Mouse Sports, a little bit of me dies for Ty Lue, you know?
Yeah, I know the feeling. And you're sat here looking at the stats going, where's the good storyline? Where's something that plays to Ty Lue's strengths? But take a map, honestly, get 10 rounds, get to double digits in this one. Then you've got a map's worth of score across 2 maps. Maybe you can build off the back of that and just start to feel your A game again, because we saw it in the second half pistol, but after that, it just disappeared once again, and everybody was missing shots. Nobody was really trusting themselves, and that's always been something Ty Lue have just had intrinsically, right? They've just trusted their ability to frag out in the server, and if they lose that, you feel like the team is just nothing anymore.
That is very true. Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much of a plan B or a plan C. And that's been an issue with them for the longest time. We kind of touched on this before with the whole Bentet thing. The fact that they did used to have so much firepower, so much ability in previous iterations where they kind of came out of nowhere. Not many people knew much about them. Then DreamHack Masters Malmo all the way back in 2016, I think it was, or 17. They ended up getting a couple of shock results. I was actually a part of that. I couldn't believe that it was actually happening in front of my eyes. It happened. These were best of ones, though. Again, we go back to that point when it's best of threes and you can't quite cheese the same way. You can't catch a team off guard a few ways. This is, in some ways, the downfall of Furia. Once Art starts to get red with his crazy, audacious pushes through smokes, especially with the AWP, things start to go a bit pear-shaped. And I think that's the same issue that Ty Lue ran into. Now they don't have that incredible firepower. They still do have some, but not Bentet levels. Very few teams in the world do, to be honest. Where's their plan B? If they're not landing shots, they don't have a tactical mastermind there. They don't have the kind of strategical play to back it up. They're not like a budget Astralis, for example, which, by the way, is a compliment, not a negative. Being compared to the best team in the world is definitely not a bad thing.
Yep.
But you get into this position with Ty Lue where you kind of wince while you're looking at the screen if their initial push doesn't work. And we saw this a few times as well. If their initial charge is capsized or repelled, they kind of just stay around middle and don't really know what to do next. They're kind of lost. And this happens so many times on Inferno.
Yeah, they always were the team with one plan and one plan only, right? And I was hoping that with the boot camp and with Summer taking over the IGLing and they've got a coach, maybe there comes a second strategy with that. There comes a couple of basic executes wouldn't have gone amiss there. Just something to mix it up and not just go, you need to frag up Banana, you need to go to bracket and find a kill. Otherwise, the round is done and we're going to sit in mid and just not know what to do. So hopefully that's something they can work on a little bit. It's not particularly difficult to pick up a few executes here and there, learn a couple of smoke lineups, give yourselves another weapon in your armory, because if Ty Lue have that second weapon and they start hitting their shots again, they're going to become a force to be reckoned with very, very quickly.
Oh, certainly, but we'll have to wait and see if Dust 2 can be that. I mean, it is like kind of aim as paradise map, so maybe this is where things start to go more in their favor. I don't necessarily think so, but I'm trying to be optimistic again. We have been informed, just to give you a little bit of an update, that there were some FPS issues and the PC is going to be replaced. So I think we're going to cut to a commercial break while that gets fixed. And fingers crossed it'll be ready soon and we can get into map number 2.
Take it back. I know what I want, but it seems so damn far away. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I empower those who dream like me. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I empower those who dream like me. And you say you wanna be somebody.
lose it. Tell yourself day after day it's time to prove it. No days off, keep the hustle moving. Wanna see you be what you wanted to be, prove it. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I empower those who dream like me. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I empower those who dream like me. And you say you wanna be somebody. You say you wanna be somebody. And you say you wanna be somebody. And you say you wanna be somebody.
Welcome back to our live coverage here on the B stream. I'm Vince, joined by Wolfie, and we have good news. The PC has been replaced, and we are moments away, TM in brackets, from starting map number 2 on Dust 2 between Mousesports and Tyloo. If you missed the first map, I'm going to be honest, other than a sick Voxic 1v3, you didn't miss much. It was a bit of a bloodbath. It was pretty straightforward. And let's see if Dust 2 can be a different story.
Let's hope Dust 2 can be a different story and Tyloo can come out the gate swinging, give us something to believe in, as we are going to get immediately into the action with the pistol round. Plenty of utility picked up by Mousesports, who opted to start on the T side of things as the push starts to come in from Frozen. Zeta, that's a lovely flashbang, and finally some frags going to come through. Somebody looking to back him up and hitting some heads as once again Tyloo doing the work in the pistol round. A 3v2 now, and Mousesports with a P250 and a Glock to try and make it happen. Chris J taking yet more tags. A one tap to the head from Summer leaves Chris J completely isolated. He's at least going to find one more. The dink and the follow through coming through onto somebody, and a hectic start to say the least, but a 1v2 for Chris J to contend with.
It's going to be at that range as well, the exact same position where Summer connected the one tap onto Long. He is sat again, and it's the same outcome. It's not quite the insta-frag with the headshot, but he gets it done anyway. And Tyloo, 3 pistol rounds played, 3 pistol rounds won.
Can't complain about that. You just need to start working on the rifles as well. Mousesports, they don't get the bomb down, so the cash isn't the greatest in the world, but they're still going to buy, and Woxic's going to pick himself up the scout. We're not going to see Chris J's antics on that just yet, and for Tyloo, they just need to get out of this round cleanly, right? They need to keep the M4 up on Summer. They need to just keep those FAMASs, MP9s viable, and just hope for the bonus round coming into round number 3, as Woxic desperate to get something going down mid, but not going to be able to spot anybody out. And the early nade's going to get a couple of tags onto Carrigan around the edge of the smoke, but Tyloo, they're not looking too keen to aggress just yet. Now they do, and Carrigan not quite able to connect on the Deagle as Zeta helps himself to first blood, taking down Rops, and actually going to get a second onto Woxic as well. Is he finally showing up in the server, as Frozen at least able to get one back for Mouse?
Goes back in for seconds. It's a couple of whiffs from the FAMAS-wielding somebody, but he still has his life. 14 HP separating him and his demise, but Mousesports have Chris J with the scout, doesn't need it for the first kill, and will be switching across to the FAMAS. Scout shot whizzes by his ears. Still has plenty of time, and he realizes his flank is a very distinct possibility. Now, Chris J, he's been here so many times in the past. He wants that smoke, and he's going to find it for the cross. So at least he does have a little bit of utility to play with. Plus, with his time, the player that was flanking Freeman has got to respect the fact that Chris could still turn tail and run around the back. Now his footsteps are being heard, though. He can make a move on towards short. The bomb going to get faked, draw the players out into the open. Chris J swarming, swelling with CTs is the sight. Hefty damage inflicted to Freeman, but he doesn't get the kill, and thus he is entirely encircled. It's going to be the 2-0 after all.
They keep the firepower up as well, which is really important for Tyloo there. They managed to keep themselves the FAMAS, the M4, and the Scout. That gives them a little bit of a building block coming into round number 3, where Mouse, of course, they're going to be down to about the 2K mark, going to buy whatever they can afford, but largely just going to be Deagles. So it's cash farming time for Freeman and Attacker on those two MP9s. Just get yourselves about a K if you can find a few frags, get some money flowing into that bank account, and start to shore up your buys for the remainder of this first half. Zeta's going to get the early contact and a quick headshot to take down Chris J as well. That is a lot more like it from the sniper, as now Mouse Sports a man down and got to try and find a way to take out this scout at range.
Well, we said, can they get some inspiration early on? So far, so good. Zeta is having quite the impact with his scout. He's had 3 or 4 kills with it so far. Summer, in the meanwhile, with his M4, is going to go to task. Freeman holding off the aggression from Carrigan. And it's all going the way of Tyloo once again. It's going to be a clean sweep of a round with Zeta switching to his sidearm. 3-0 start, nearly equalizing their grand score on Inferno, as sad as that is. But at least Tyloo now showing us what they're capable of.
I mean, Zeta's only 3 frags behind where he was for the entirety of map 1, but he's starting to look a lot better on that scout, and he's going to upgrade as well, picking himself up the AWP coming into round number 4, and there's going to be nothing available for Mouse Sports. They'll go on to the Kriegs, 3 of those, a couple of AK-47s, and plenty of utility, as again, Chris J's going to try and take that long control to open things up, getting around the smoke, dodging the worst of the nades, and perhaps looking to catch somebody off guard here. Will take the follow-up to the chest, down to 62 HP, but for the time being, he's alive and kicking. He's buying time as well as somebody looks to make the rotation down into the pit. They still don't know he's here, Chris J. And now he looks to tap away. Can't quite connect on the headshot and will wisely retreat before he gets taken out. Mouse Sports with mid-control to work with as they look to plan their execute. And it looks like they're thinking about a mid-B.
It's a good counter flash tossed in. Does stall them a little bit. But their bit is firmly between the teeth, and they are looking to push on to B. 2 players strong. It's a bastion. It's a real fortress of a site to take, but now Attacker putting his MP9 to use onto Voxic may have completely thwarted this attempt. There's a rotation coming through as well from somebody round the back who is looking, anticipating a peek, but everybody that he goes to look at just dies ahead of him. The thing is, though, this is a play that can go for again in the future. If he doesn't show his hand, it is something that you can go for. It's a bit of a gimmicky play. A lot of teams will go for this. Now somebody going to start to move on catwalk, and he may even go for the knife. No, he decides against it. Carrigan is a dead man, whichever way you spin it, and our Ropt of 30 seconds is going to look to potentially save the SG.
Try and keep something up, because the economy's on the rope for Mouse Sports losing that round. They're going to go 4-0 down, and Tyloo, they look like they've got their confidence back. They're hitting their shots again. Zeta's picked up the scout, followed by the AWP, and has found some nice frags with it as well. And everybody's showing up. I said Summer needed to find some frags. He's 7-1 at the moment as somebody just cleans things up onto Rops to make it 4-0. And this is so much more like the Tyloo we wanted to see, the Tyloo we believed could come out here. And hopefully they can just keep that form up on D2.
I mean, this is almost a resurgent team that, like, we just didn't see even a glimpse of this in the first map. It's great to see. Again, going back to maybe what I said before, they don't really have anything to lose in this tournament. No one expects them to make a deep run. No one expected them to even be here in the first place, as it was Vici pulling out that afforded Tyloo the chance to get to Katowice. So any maps, any head-turning moments is a massive benefit and bonus, and maybe Mouse Sports going to be on the receiving end of another bit of a battering in this round. They don't have too much to their name in terms of utility. They've got a few pistols, and that's pretty much it. Kevlar for Voxic, if they can get a weapon into his hands, maybe there's an inroad back in.
Walking into that CT Krieg as well. Attacker up in Goose with it, and that will just tear heads apart as Mouse Sports look to plan this execute. Dropping down into CT, looking to catch somebody off guard, but he's there and he's able to find the frag. Traded immediately by Rops to bring us back onto the 4-on-4, but it's a nice adjustment by Summer to find even more damage. Yet to find the frag, but so much damage done. 20 HP between Rops and Chris J, and Mouse Sports, they're trying to make their way in towards B. Finally, Frozen opens things up with the 1D, and Summer in a desperate position to try and recover. Traded 1-for-1 and 3-on-2 now. Zeta and Attacker. That's a tag through the door as Woxic makes the transfer, but he's managed to pick up an M4 in the meanwhile. And can they get back into this bomb site? 2-on-3. They've got to clear Rops first of all. He's just hankering in this corner, but Zeta's got the shot. The AWP's finally starting to show up. 2-on-2 now. That bomb's starting to tick down, but both Zeta and Attacker have diffusers. They've got time to play with as they look to make their entrance, and oh, this is going to be tight. Frozen with the M4. Org in the hands of Woxic, but so little HP to work with. Attacker Attacker swings, manages to keep his head hidden. Finally, the frags come through, and it will be Mouse Sports with just Deagles to work with, who find round number 1, saving a couple of rifles, including that AWP onto Woxic as well, and that could be absolutely crucial.
A Frozen 4K finalizes the round, and Mouse Sports welcomed to the scoreboard. Better late than never. It is going to be another AWP for Zeta, but this is really testing the economy. The accountant on the CT side not happy to see there's basically nothing in the bank account other than $1,500 on Attacker. So if they were to concede this round, it's been a great start, but things will slip away. Zeta, though, is going to say no to that as he claims onto Chris J early doors through the middle doors. And now Mouse Sports on the back foot, though, will swing out with a kill onto Freeman, equalizing at 4v4.
Lovely little boost over the smoke there. A little bit of an innovative play by Tyloo, and somebody wants to get aggressive off the back of it. Frozen with the timing. Oh, he just looks the wrong way. Somebody even spots the bomb as he finds that frag, and Zeta helps himself to another, taking apart Woxic for Mouse Sports. And now it looked good for Mouse. They'd found the refrag, they had the opportunity, but Zeta really starting to come into his own on the AWP, finds his 3rd frag of the round, and Rops, he's been here before, a 1 versus 4 to contend with, and with 1 minute and 3 left on the clock, the odds of him managing to keep his hands on the Krieg for this long is very, very slim, especially considering somebody's still on that UMP.
Carrigan may just say to him, look, do as much damage as you possibly can on the way out, because Tyloo's finances aren't great, as we touched on before. So if he could take another kill or 2 out of this on his way out, that could be enough. That could be enough to put Tyloo into a bit of a rough position. Keep in mind, the Mouse Sports do still have some round loss on the horizon. They do still have $6,000 for Voxic. Chris J and Frozen can buy next round. Rops is going to be close to being able to afford as well. So it may not be paramount importance to save the SG necessarily, but he has whittled away enough time now that it could be a possibility. 20 seconds to go, plus Tyloo's situation suggests they may not charge down too much and chase for this SG too much, knowing that it could do more harm than good. And now Rops is going to start to make a move. It's just of paramount importance he doesn't die after time. That's all he's looking for here. Somebody round the door. Does he go for the peak after time is the question that I'm curious and finding an answer for. You can see that Summer's gone up through the T spawn, so he's got some information for his teammates. Rops just catches the shoulder, and they're both happy to allow each other to just sail by and keep their weaponry. Tyloo, though, 5-1 in the lead.
And this is what I wish Tyloo had done earlier on in map 1, is take that timeout and just reset yourselves. Mousesport's going to go for it on this occasion, as they are just starting to slip behind, and Tyloo starting to find some of that form of old that we spoke about, that we longed for in map number 1. And with the economy as it is, Mousesport's with a big decision to make. They are going to go for the buy. They're going to try and string it together. Woxic's going to get the AWP, but short on utility again. As Tyloo looking to hold on to what they've got. Somebody going to stick with the UMP. Zeta, of course, on that AWP. Currently 9-2. He's got more frags than he found in the entirety of Inferno, so really starting to feel it now.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubting that at all. And you just have to look at Mousesports now. How is Carrigan going to counteract? They've not been under any duress, any pressure whatsoever in the duration of this best of 3. This is the first time where Mousesports have been forced to sweat a little. There's the timeout. Let's see how they engage afterwards. It's going to be a hefty tunnels push, but it's into the arms of somebody, but he comes out second best, barely even scraping Carrigan in the process. That is just what Carrigan was hoping for.
It's just what Mousesports needed, an opportunity, half a chance as Rops. He's going to go up on the head of Chris J and not spotted out. Freeman's going to be taken down. He had no idea what hit him. That's the B-bomb site, completely open bomb. Still all the way back in spawn, but Mousesports finally starting to find some of that form from map 1 as Woxic finds another onto Summer. And Zeta and Attacker, you said their economy was absolutely busted, and they can't really afford to go for this. They need to save that M4 and AWP. Otherwise, they're looking at a very rough buy coming into round number 8.
And so much firepower to save here as well. And with Zeta playing exceptionally well here on Dust 2, you want him to have the AWP as much as possible if you're on Tyloo. So I'm sure Summer made the call. Save, save, save. Do whatever you have to. Even throw Attacker under the bus if you need to in order to save that AWP. So I'm sure Attacker will sacrifice himself. Although actually they are pretty much separated. Attacker's on long. with Zeta with the AWP on the short side, just peering down from catwalk, taking the aggressive angle. Obviously, what you'd like to do is take the shot from the little alcove, then drop down into CT spawn, but they don't have control of that. So he's playing a little bit more static and more stationary, trying to be a little bit more defensive. Mousesports, additionally, their economy's not great, so they're okay to save by and large. So we're going to have this stalemate situation, but Mousesports, after the timeout, again, it proves to be magical as they double their digits to 2.
It looks like it was exactly what the doctor ordered. They just find another level, and frags just suddenly start going their way. It feels like Inferno all over again as Mousesports get their second on the board, and they really put Tyloo and especially Summer under a lot of pressure here. How does he call this round? They've got 2 rifles saved up. It looks like they're going to go for the buy down to about that 2k mark as Summer and somebody pick themselves up deagles respectively. And this is a damage limitation exercise now for Mousesports. Just try and keep those rifles available. Just make sure you don't lose too many players to this kind of a buy, because otherwise your economy is going to be in a lot of trouble. Fast play towards long, but there's no real contest here from Tyloo. They know they haven't got the firepower and they haven't got the utility to be going into these positions.
Simply put, they have to just respect this and hope for the best. Cross your fingers, go for that gamble on A. If Mousesports overstay or overextend, you can maybe start to try and rummage together a comeback, but by and large, I'm okay with this. Keeping Zeta's AWP in the B tunnels. It's not going to see action anytime soon. The bomb's already making a move out of long. They're just making sure all these angles are accounted for. Throwing the Molotov down onto Car will draw out any pesky CTs that are hiding behind there. Meanwhile, also tossing one up onto the long side. Someone just watching from the elevator. He will see action momentarily, more than likely, but you better believe there's going to be a smoke wall there to greet him.
A little bit too much aggression from Zeta on the AWP as he's taken down by Rops, and that's a lot of the firepower lost immediately for Tyloo. The AWP is down. Freeman might be able to recover it. He doesn't know, though, that Rops has escaped from the B tunnels as Summer at least gets a 1D onto Frozen to try and open things up. Carrigan steadies the ship with another onto Attacker, but the trades are still coming through. Somebody able to take down Carrigan, and Summer sneaking through the smoke finds another isolated on the bomb site. He's got Chris J as well. And Rops, he was all the way over towards the B bomb site but a moment ago, and with 18 HP, he's got 3 players to contend with for Tyloo. The half buy has gone perfectly, and they've even managed to salvage themselves a couple of AK-47s.
A bit of a misread there from Carrigan. We'll get back to that in a moment once we see if Rops can keep his life ticking forward into round 9. It's looking likely. I think Tyloo we're going to be occupying, happy to save these 3 guns and get the round under their belt. Rops shouldn't be extending now. He doesn't want to die after time. But when they know that Zeta is over in a very unorthodox position with the AWP, you've got to assume that there's a gamble stack on A. I'm very surprised they still hit A after getting that intel. There was still 30 or 40 seconds left. They could have rotated.
They had so many options to play with, and they just went for the wrong one. Carrigan, that's got to be a misread, a missed call, and perhaps a missed opportunity as well, as Tyloo will get their 6th on the board, and once again, the economy for Mousesports will start to creak. They are going to be able to get the buyout. They will be able to get the AWP onto Woxic, but if this one goes wrong, they are in a lot of trouble yet again. No boost over the top of the smoke this time for Zeta, as he just looks to hold round the sides and add to his tally. 9 to his name at the moment. He's just holding passively, not too interested in the peak, as Carrigan gets some free control towards short and starts to bleed out that CT utility. Early Molotov goes down, and Mousesports, where are you looking to go with this one?
Well, they have their options available again, as Tyloo on their CT side have played aggressively when they've had lower weaponry, like SMGs, for example, but when they've had these very stationary defaults, it's typically been off the back of AWPs and M4s. So they're going for it again. They're giving up long control. They're giving up catwalk by and large, but now Carrigan's going to get tested, and he passes with flying colors as he passes a bullet between the eyes of Attacker. Somebody, though, is holding the line with his AWP. 2 kills to his name, narrowly missing out on a 3rd, but he's going to get pushed by 2 sides. He's still alive. He's still kicking, and he has batted down Mousesports. A solo effort from somebody. What a ridiculous play that actually is. 7-2 lead to boot.
And the timeout immediately called by Mousesports. And again, just feeding the secondary AWP one by one, wandering into the crosshairs, and it's just all too easy for him to pick those frags up. Yes, he finds Woxic initially, but then Chris J out in the open, that's an easy frag. Players just peeking in one at a time, and nobody ever able to find the frag to take him down, because if he's gone, that A-bomb site's looking relatively open. It's an easy enough take for Mousesports, but instead, Tyloo find themselves round number 7. They save that double AWP setup as well, which is critical given their economy, and they put Mousesports in a really awful position.
I'm somewhat amazed that we're in this position right now, Wolfie. If you'd said to me that Tyler would be winning 7-2 on Dust 2 after that Inferno game, I'd have called you mad. I would have been calling the doctors for you, but here we are. Tyloo in command. 12 kills Summer, 12 kills somebody, Zeta with 9. Freeman's a 1-4, but he hasn't really been called upon. Keep in mind, he's one of the B players, and the vast majority of these hits have been A and middle. He is going to be called upon now, though, to try and repel this pistol-wielding Mouse Sports, but a good Molotov put into position is going to stop the initial charge, and he just has a smoke out there to toss in afterwards. Do Mouse Sports go for the aggression behind this? You better believe they do, but he heard the pins being removed. He sprays through the smoke, and he gets the ultimate reward. But Robs and Carrigan going to be shimmying in for 2 kills, and now Tyloo is stuck on the A side of the map and maybe looking to save.
It's looking like the long game play here from Tyloo. They have to save as well. The economy, I said it was all right. It's not that good. They can't afford to go for a 4-on-3 retake into the B-bomb site, knowing full well that Rops, Carrigan and Woxic, they've managed to recover rifles. They've got Kriegs. There's an M4 picked up on Woxic as well. It's just all too easy for Mouse Sports to get into that B-bomb site. Yes, Freeman finds one through the smoke to open things up, but it's 2 quick trades found by Mouse Sports. The execute works out to perfection, and Tyloo just really didn't look like they had an answer. When that full execute came out, the smoke went into CT, and there was nothing doing for them as Mouse Sports get a free entry, a free round number 3, and a free rifle onto Woxic as well.
So both of their timeouts have proven to be invaluable for Mouse Sports, but it's quite the turnaround considering that they are fighting, clawing their way in for any scrap of a round, whereas Inferno, it's like the rounds were just coming to them for free. They're not having to really work their backsides off to get anything done in this. Tyloo, double AWPs in play once again with M4s. Yes, they have depleted their funds on the bulk of their team, but they're still in this round to stand and fight until the bitter end. Mouse Sports in the meanwhile, Rops logging in his smoke towards the Xboxes. And in the meanwhile, Chris J tosses one down to middle, so they're going to try and fend off Zeta's presence in mid for the time being until they push into long, which is a fair enough tactic considering how prolific these AWPs have been here, Wolfie, on their CT side.
They've been incredible. It's been a complete change-up. Nice flashbang through. Chris J able to trade 1-for-1, but not expecting the second player in the form of Attacker. And with that bomb down towards long as well, all Attacker has to do is stay alive, but he'll help himself to another frag. Frozen, the unfortunate soul who wanders into his crosshairs as Carrigan only able to get one jumping down into CT, leaving Woxic with a 1 versus 3. I liked his first on Inferno, but he's not going to be getting it this time. Attacker quickly puts an end to things. And Mouse Sports, they looked like they wanted to up the pace out towards A long. It did not work whatsoever.
3 AWPs now on Tyloo.
I mean, you can never have too much of a good thing, right?
Especially on a map like Dust 2. This definitely does support 3 AWPs. It does leave them susceptible to aggressive plays, but after thwarting Mouse Sports' aggression on long, do Mouse Sports go in for another rush? Maybe not. Their money situation is a little bit on the rough side, though. Mach 10, AK, and SG. 4 players strong pushing into the tunnels, but there's that same Molotov again.
Just waiting it out. Mouse Sports know they've got to go quickly with the firepower they've got. Summer wants to find that opening pick for his team. Might just get a little bit too aggressive here, or might catch what's here with a nade out. So much damage. A 3-man collat as he tags up 2, and the nade will follow through. Summer gets the second, but now the flank from Carrigan comes in, and a quick double on the B-bomb site opens things up. Carrigan helps himself to a triple, and Tyloo falling apart at the seams as the bomb is finally going to make its way in. The Molotov keeping Rops at bay for so long. But how has this retake come about? Frozen and Carrigan finish things off, and it was such a good hold. Summer got so much damage out of that AWP, but the flank through mid just uncovered. Carrigan helps himself to some freebies, and Mouse Sports, again with a minimal buy, managed to get their 4th round.
Carrigan has picked up on a weakness, and that is their middle control. This is the same way that Mouse Sports got their last round as well. The last 2 rounds have been off that almost an identical play, where even though Tyloo, remember last time it was Freeman, got a kill through the smoke onto Chris J, they get the first kill, they get a hefty amount of damage, and then it just goes nowhere. So they're going to be plugging in that middle gap. There's way more manpower, grenades, influence over middle, but it's at the cost of elsewhere on the map. They've given up B completely. Look at Tyloo. This is such a ballsy play, but it's going to work out for them for now.
Mouse Sports, with no information about it whatsoever, are going to head up A long. Unfortunately, Tyloo just starting to rotate players in towards middle, so it's going to be Attacker on this A bomb site with the P250 to try and find some damage. Rops helps himself to the first frag, and Attacker will be taken down by Carrigan. The stack not quite working out as Rops grabs a quick double, and Woxic finishes things off, and it could have gone so much differently, though. So Mouse Sports, again, looking like they're making small mistakes, not exploring that B-bomb site at all, and not getting the information that there's nobody home for Tyloo.
That's the thing with gambles. When they work, you look like a genius. When they don't, you look a little bit foolish. But it's an understandable gamble to take because they may have assumed that Karrigan would just rinse and repeat the same play until Tyloo did start to make some changes. Voxic through the middle. Another statistic that I'm simply baffled by is that Voxic, a player that is normally utterly dominant on Dust 2, is on 2-9. He's had no impact on this map at all. In any way, shape, or form. I am perplexed by that.
He's having a really rough start to it, isn't he? And you've got to wonder if Zeta just picking up his game on the AWP and somebody even coming in with a huge secondary AWP as now it goes towards summer is having somewhat of an impact. Mouse Sports, though, they're going to go fast up towards the A bomb site, and the short play has left Tyloo absolutely stranded. The bomb's still on the back of Frozen, but they're just about going to manage to get it across. And Tyloo, with no presence at all, they've got to go for a 5-on-5 retake here. If they want any chance of getting into this bomb site, they have the utility to do it, but a call needs to be made very quickly because the rotation's got to come through.
It's a 5-on-5 retake with 2 AWPs. That is far from ideal, and a UMP. So everything points towards Mouse Sports getting the job done. But the way that Tyloo have been playing, you definitely couldn't write them off. Incendiaries tossed towards the back of the site. Thing is here for Tyloo as well, it's almost like they're on a ticking time bomb. Do they even go for this? Their economy's not great. If they lose this round, then Mouse Sports likely will just cruise to an 8-7 deficit. Nate starting to connect on the back of the site. Karrigan trading out frags. Attacker comes straight up and is going to be able to get the 2 kills, but Voxic from the car is going to shut the door on any possible retake with giving Mouse Sports a 6th round. And this is where the economy catches up with Tyloo.
This is where it starts to feel like it's going wrong for Tyloo. They look so dominant to start with, but Mouse Sports, they've taken their time, sure, but they've started to find those weaknesses. We've seen the mid-aggression. Now they catch Tyloo with no presence on the A-bomb site as they try and get aggressive towards short. And it's almost like Karrigan is slowly calibrating his IGL dial. He's slowly working out, okay, they're not taking this portion of the map. I'll just go fast there. As again, he's going to go straight out of the mid doors, but Zeta is there for the punish on the scout, finding some tags before he's traded out by Chris J. And again, it's this fast mid to B split being looked for by Mouse Sports. Rops thinking about going straight through this smoke. It's going to be all about the timing if he does. Freeman up close and personal with the MP9 can do some damage. Dinks coming through all over the shop, but Chris J still finding frags, and this is just a timing game. Rops is going to get Freeman, and although somebody, an attacker, will absolutely go for this retake of the B bomb site, it is looking nigh on impossible.
It certainly is, but last round of the half, they're going to be going in for this. Frozen will gobble up the freebie onto Attacker. And it's going to be more carnage, and it will end the way of Mouse Sports. Tyloo have won every pistol in this best of 3. We'll have to see if they make it 4 after this break.
next thing I knew, we were so ready to
We got what we were asking for, Wolfie, a much closer, more conflicted game than the Inferno. But Tyloo actually leading 8-7. They did let a mammoth lead slip, though. Mousesport shifting through the gears. And a stat I'd just like to bring up, Carrigan, in this best of 3 so far, he is on an astounding 36 kills. And considering the first map was 16-5, that is insane.
He's putting some serious numbers up the IGL, to say the least, and it really does feel like Mousesports are starting to accelerate, and they could keep it going with this pistol, although Tyloo currently flawless on pistol rounds. Somebody, first one round the corner, Pop Flash comes in for the peek, and Frozen can't quite find it. Zeta, fully blinded, will get the headshot, and Tyloo, they looked like they were going to up the pace off the back of that, but just slowing things down, waiting for the utility, waiting for the execute to be lined up. 4 players queued up towards short at the moment in the 5-on-4, but nobody looking to strike just yet with a minute left on the clock.
There's a lot of flirtation, but not much that came of it. Just Frozen losing his life, and now Voxic going to take some speculative shots through middle before he backs away. Another big storyline is he didn't really have any impact in that first half, but they always have that ace up the sleeve. If he turns on and wakes up with the AWP, things could get sketchy for Tyloo. They're going to look to try and take the site. Carrigan holding the line, holding this on his back, and now Chris J is joining the fray with his USP at range, is tapping, clicking some heads off. Voxic now, next up to the plate. And it's only Freeman that stands between them and their first pistol round of this best of 3. 23 seconds to play with. Freeman trying to use the USP against them, but it's Rops that connects the dots. And it's going to be 8-8. Mousesports finally on the board for a pistol round. And that's going to be worrying for Tyloo.
And you have to think that was crucial for Mousesports. This is the first time Tyloo have really put them under any pressure. And as of so far, they hadn't won a single pistol round. So getting that one on the board, it doesn't matter that it was close. It doesn't matter that there were mistakes made. They find the round. That gives them a springboard now. They're going to be able to buy. And without the bomb plant for Tyloo, their economy is looking very, very lackluster. Attacker picking up the Zeus is going to be the only upgrade across Tyloo. How do you get into a bomb site with nothing but a Zeus and Glocks?
I don't have the answer for you, Wolfie. That is a good question. Smarter men than I probably don't have the answer for you either. I think you just hope for the best and hope that Mousesports maybe get overzealous, push out and give you a weapon. That's really the only hope. And a team under Carrigan's tutelage is not going to be making these kind of mistakes. They do have this bait crossfire set up. Voxic going to try and draw them out into the open, soften up the targets, and then Chris J will do the rest. Deagle's not the perfect weapon here, but he's going to make it work anyway. Sticks the landing on Summer and Attacker, and that's the round that should be subsiding and slipping away as a result. Rob's just going to spray down, and Mousesports don't lose a single player. Great news for their economy.
That's a really nice round, and it's going to build up that bonus round coming into the third as well. They just clean things up, not losing a single player. Chris J using that Deagle a little more like a shotgun, but he makes it work and he finds the frags, and that's the important thing at the end of the day. Now Tyloo go for the full investment. They've got the AWP, Kriegs and AK-47s coming out, and this is where it starts to swing. If Mousesports can get away with this bonus round, if they can find the success with just the MP9 scouts and a couple of rifles, then it really starts to fall apart for Tyloo as Mouse. They're going to go fast towards short. They're going to try and catch Freeman off guard, and they will achieve it. Frozen finds a second as well. That's 2 Kriegs lost near enough immediately as the round falls apart as soon as it began for Tyloo. Summer, the next one to try and recover things from mid, but Chris J's going to find him straight through the smoke. 5-on-2 for somebody in Zeta. They've got 1 minute and 25 left on the clock, and arguably they need to try and save already.
Yeah, it's a pretty depressing situation they find themselves in, but Mousesports know exactly what is coming up, and they've already sent the flank. They've already sent Rops. They've unleashed him. They've told him, go kill. Take these weapons away from Tyloo, but he's having a whiff. He finally salvages it all. We'll just pretend the first 5 bullets never happened, Rops. Don't worry. No one saw that. And now Zeta, with his AWP, is unsure as to what his options really are. He's got 1 minute left at the very least. He can try and strangle a couple of players on his way out, I suppose, at range. Tries to flick across to Voxic, but he's going to double tap him with the scout in the end. 2nd consecutive rounds without any casualties on Mousesports.
and they got away with the bonus round as well. It's going to put Tyloo in an awful position, and they've just upgraded across the board, right? They've got 3 AK-47s, they've picked up a Krieg. Woxic was so close to getting the AWP as well, and just completely equipping the T-side loadout for the CTs, but not quite able to achieve it. And Tyloo, they'll go back down onto the pistols. There'll be Deagles, 1 CZ for Zeta to really just do whatever you can, right? How many rifles can you take away from Mouse Sports? How painful can you make this for the CT side as the early Molotovs come through, and Summer and Freeman are going to eat a lot of early damage.
It's worthwhile keeping the scout as well. There's only 3 of them that have armor. It's almost like a moped AWP. I don't know, it's super fast. You can nip around there, get on that scooter, pop some heads maybe. Although Rops is just doing all the damage right now with the AK, so he's probably not going to be called upon. Carrigan also chipping in with a frag, and it's more of the same. Our Mousesport's going to pull off 3 consecutive flawless rounds. It's the only thing left to answer, and they've answered it emphatically. That is a yes.
It just looks all too easy, doesn't it? And I'm never going to call it a scout anymore. It's a moped AWP for the rest of my casting.
Only when they don't have armor, though. Otherwise, it's basically a pea shooter.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. But Mouse Sports, they make it look very simple again. And Tyloo, is this the wheels coming off? Is this the same as Inferno? Is it going to fall apart? I think this round is really important. This is the swing for them. Zeta gets the AWP out once more. He went a bit quiet after the opening rounds in the first half, so hopefully T-side, traditionally Tyloo's home ground, maybe they can start to find some consistency here as they are starting to target B, and Rops is currently completely alone.
Outmanned, never outgunned, though, is the young Estonian. And he really is alone, basically. He's on a planet in a different solar system compared to the rest of his team. But now Frozen's going to try and get Interstellar and bridge the gap with his SG. Watching through middle. This is the kind of angle that can actually bypass the smoke that's tossed in, depending how deep it is. So a bit of a sneaky, cheeky position that he's got for himself. But Tyloo not going to be opting for middle anytime soon, it would appear. They're actually playing more of an anti-eco setup here. They may be anticipating that Mouse Sports, as they did on Inferno, once all the chips had kind of settled down, do go for that aggression and try and keep them off guard. So this is almost like the Inferno tactics. It's reverbing and coming back in a cycle.
Yeah, I think Carrigan has learnt his lessons on that one. It went beautifully on Inferno, but he's giving Tyloo a lot more respect on Dust 2. And that was something we spoke about, right, was them earning the respect of Mouse Sports. And it feels like they've done that now.
Sure.
They're 11-8, down short, but they were up at the half. They made a really good run of it, and they have just lost their first pistol. So fair play to them. They've started to earn their respect, and now it's about how much more can you get. They've got the full buy. They're starting to run out of utility, though, as they go for the drop down in towards CT. Frozen going to be held off by the smoke as the A-hit starts to come in. Woxic still on that scout, only able to find a tag as the push comes through. Chris J still not cleared in Goose. Oh man, he wished the spray, though, and he can't get anything at all. That was awful. He had to find those frags. Those were 2 absolute freebies, and Rops and Frozen, perhaps in shock that he went down that way, are going to be bailing out of the A-bomb site and trying to keep a hold on these 2 rifles. A Krieg, of course, absolutely crucial on the CT side at this point, but oh man, that miss from Chris J.
I can just imagine the spam in Twitch chat right now with J's all over Twitch chat. That was unreal. You could see what he was going for. He wanted to deny the bomb plant first and try and spin in for the second frag. But you need to finish your meal before you can have your dessert. He tried to go straight for the pudding. That's not how it works. Don't get greedy, Chris.
You do wonder if it's when he puts that bomb down and the head just goes, and from behind, sometimes you can't quite see it.
The hitboxes
it looked like he was going for the one tap there. He just looked like he wanted to finish the headshot and transfer, but of course it doesn't connect. And then you're in the awkward position when your crosshair's halfway between 1 and 2, and where do you go next? And it just all falls apart. And perhaps that's what Tyloo needed, a little bit of luck, a lucky break and a slightly whiffy hitbox to give them an opportunity to get back into this one. 11-9 the scoreline. Of course, Mousesport's going to be on a full buy, and they are hitting the double AWP panic button here for Chris J and Woxic. You spoke about him in the pregame being somewhat of a scout master. Let's see what he can do with the AWP.
Oh, well, he's absolutely no scrub when it comes to AWPing either. Of course, historically, back before the likes of Oscar in the team, he was the primary AWP for quite some time for Mouse Sports, and he posted up some very good performances with this very gun. I mean, that's the thing with Mouse Sports. They're just so spoiled with all these sick AWPers. Carrigan can even use it. Robs can. Frozen can. Like, all this team, honestly, can AWP on their day, but right now it does fall to these 2, and they haven't really been engaged upon early, haven't been called upon to do anything, but they may get peeked from Zeta if they're not careful through middle.
Everybody just waiting for something to happen, it seems like. Mousesports, they've got long control. It's going to be at the consequence of short, though, with Woxic holding that one down from the ramp. And Tyloo yet to really aggress anywhere. A very similar strategy to the previous as they look to almost replicate their Inferno hold and just sit back, wait for the aggression from Mousesports, but nothing forthcoming. So with 50 seconds left on the clock, they've got to try and find some kind of an execute. 4 players queued up towards short at the moment to put that pressure on Woxic. We know he can hit the shots when he's given the opportunity, and he might get one hell of an opportunity coming up once that smoke fades for the CT side. Now comes the execute. Tyloo with all the nades in the world to try and make this one work. Woxic with the Molotov will slow them down, however, and you can see Tyloo just stalling, dropping down into CT, putting even more pressure on Woxic. In the meanwhile, the support trying to come in as Woxic finds the first, still stuck on the angle towards the A-ramp. Attacker still in the elevator, able to find one more, but Woxic, he lives. He finds himself a second, still scoped in, finally taken out. Summer gets the frag, and Frozen with it all to do from A-long. The rotation from Rops is so slow. He's desperate to try and take out Freeman, but with that bomb planted for short, he's got to wait for the support. Somebody takes a couple of tags, and 2-on-2, that bomb starts to tick down.
Freeman in the nuts position. All he has to do is wait. Hope that somebody can stay alive long enough to install them long enough to pounce off. Rops is caught in 2 minds. He's anticipating this catwalk peek. They're going to tickle the bomb. Freeman comes out. He's going to prioritize the diffuser first. And to make matters worse, Rops is dropped down. And that's the round that goes with him. Into the abyss. Freeman chases, gives charge. They want to take all these guns away. Mousesports have more than enough finances to support a rebuy, but Tyloo making a real go of this.
It's more about the statement than the finances at this point. Tyloo just putting it out there, finding themselves these rounds and really starting to just step up to Mousesports' level, it feels like. They're starting to frag, they're starting to hit their shots, and the trades are looking really efficient as well for the Chinese side. As Mousesports, they used their 3rd timeout. They didn't use a single one on Inferno, so perhaps looking a little bit rattled, finally starting to see the potential of Tyloo coming through here. And honestly, there's a world where they win this now. They're 1 round behind. The economy, while it's good for the time being for Mousesports, is going to start to falter as these rounds string up the way of Tyloo. And it's the T side for Tyloo, right? They have always been a T-sided team.
Historically, they have been a team that certainly excels when it comes to T-sides if they're on form. And it seems like they've woken up from that deep sleep that they were on in Inferno. Maybe their toes did get burned after all. And now on Dust 2, they're here to stand and fight, but this is a huge round again. This is a bit of a fulcrum point, considering that Chris J, Carrigan, and Woxic have very little money if things go pear-shaped. If they just get steamrolled here, Tyloo can really take a stranglehold over this map. This is a huge round with so much on the line.
The pressure really is on, and it's all about which team rises to the challenge. Mousesports not going with their default hold, 2 players into the B bomb site and leaving mid a little bit open. We saw Mousesports exploiting this on their own T side, and they're leaving the door ever so slightly open, although now Frozen and Woxic will readjust their attention down towards CT, and indeed somebody is going to make his way out of mid relatively unopposed here. Tyloo getting plenty of information as Frozen now starts to make the rotation. Zeta, though, on the angle, eats the dink and finds the frag for his troubles. This hold is looking troubled indeed. Rops thinking about the peek out of the window, but with the AWP absolutely trained on his position and even the shoulder peek spotting him out, he's got to find the frag and he'll do so. Somebody on low HP, so Rops gets a second, looking for more. He's going out of the window to find these frags. Rops with a 3rd, and Summer sneaking onto this bomb site has got to do it all alone. Nothing doing. The B bomb site is closed for Mousesports. An attacker finds the first. 1v2 still in his hands with 45 seconds left on the clock. I might have gone a little too early there as he starts to take the control in towards the tunnels. Bomb dropped on the site. Can he make his way in?
That's the key point, though. It's the bomb drop that is an absolute nightmare. A fortress, a bastion of hope for Mousesports is the B site. Attacker has the utility to feasibly go for this. Maybe he can smoke off and try and take 2 separate 1v1s, especially considering that Rops is actually just sat on 13 HP. But time itself is becoming an enemy. Time itself is a nuisance. He tries to try peek it, and Rops on fine form connects another one. His 4K in the round, and he deserves a standing ovation from the rest of his team. One hell of a round from him.
It's really boosted his stats as well. 22-9. He's picking up where Carrigan left off in map 1 and really dragging Mousesports to this victory as finally Tyloo take their first time out of the game, and you can understand why. You look down that right-hand side of your screen and the economy, is a little bit jumbled, to say the least. Somebody in Zeta nearer 2K than 3. 3 players who could feasibly buy, but no real cash available to be dropping your teammates. So at best, this is a 3 rifle buy, as somebody does go for the Deagle and armor. So perhaps we're going to see the Force and Indeed and Attacker immediately picking up the Creek.
Go straight in. They're not going to be slowing down. They're going to continue to turn up the pace. They feel Mousesports are still shaky, still wobbly. They landed the jab. They've somewhat stunned Mousesports. Can they go for that killer shot now? That's what they're hoping for. They still have plenty of firepower to go behind, and we've already seen Zeta with the scout is no slouch. This guy, if you give him a chance, he will be popping off those heads. Rob's going to be on the cross. He gets across there safely. Tyloo not giving this away either. All they've done is throw smokes down. This could still be a pistol rush as far as Mousesports are concerned, hence them throwing the Molotov and a smoke onto B already.
Baiting out some of that early CT utility and just looking to give yourselves every possible opportunity. Rops, a little bit isolated towards that B-bomb site again as 3 players look to wander into his crosshairs, except this time he has the Krieg to his name. And that's going to make this push very, very complicated. He's got the fast rotation from Frozen towards the doors from middle as well. So the setup's good for the CT side. It's all about the fragging now as Tyloo, they've only got 1 hit on their mind, and it is this B-bomb site. Flash fully blinds Rops. He's got to retreat behind the triple box. He's waiting for his timing, but he's going to be taken down. Frozen at least able to trade 1-for-1 as the cross comes through from Tyloo, but this B-bomb site's so difficult to retake, and it's going to have to be a 4-on-4 as the bomb gets planted. Lovely nade onto Summer, but can Mousesports get back into this? Somebody is still up towards short, looking to catch Woxic off guard, and actually a missed shot from the AWPer may mean the end of it all. There's a second player looking to hunt him down now in the form of Chris J, and have Mousesports given up on the chase here? Somebody finally going to be taken down, but they don't look like they're too convinced about this. Going to throw some utility in and start to believe perhaps they can get back into this B-bomb site. Frozen desperately waiting for the rotations as Attacker starts to burn down to 25 HP. The trades come through from Mousesports and somehow they get back in. 3 players, 3 frags, and Mousesports have round number 13. They left that so close, but the bomb just not quite quick enough.
That was a matter of milliseconds away. And I thought for a moment Attacker was going to get saved by that Molotov. It sounds like a strange thing, but it was tossed in. It didn't quite extend enough, so he was able to sit in there. Almost shielded him off. Molotovs have this weird effect in game where it almost acts as like a smoke wall at times. I was thinking he could maybe line up 2 or 3 players and somehow clutch that round, but Mousesports, by the thinnest of margins, take the 13-10 lead. As you said, it was like a strange, disjointed retake. It seemed like half of them wanted to and half of them didn't want to, and that nearly is what was a determining factor. But now Tyloo into another scout, into more pistols, and they are running out of time. They are running out of rounds.
The opportunities are starting to run out, and as Woxic finds the opening pick onto somebody, this becomes a very one-dimensional attack. 3 players looking to make their way up towards short, and with Frozen there, he just shoulder peeks that angle. Attacker tries to go straight through the Molotov, but that's an easy enough frag to find, and as the nades follow suit, the damage is done for Tyloo in this round. 5-on-3 with just 2 Deagles and a scout remaining, and what little utility they have starting to burn dry. The CT side hold at the moment looking strong as a missed run boost comes out. You can see what they were trying to go for there, and they're going to give it another crack. Second time a charm perhaps, and indeed Zeta is going to make his way past, but it's just going to feed Carrigan. That's all too simple. Summer getting the reload in on the Deagle as Carrigan goes straight through with a pistol. Can't quite find it, but Mousesports will find round number 14. Just the 1 frag from Tyloo, and it's do or die time now.
And the nightmare scenario there is actually that failed jump boost let him know there was at least 2 players on short.
Yeah.
So he's like, cool, I'll just sit in position, I'll wait, and then just pounces and gets 2 frags, and that's the round done. As you say, 14-10, Tyloo, 2 rounds shy of losing their very first game here in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2020. They'll move down to the lower bracket. Mousesports anticipated to win this, and they're very close to doing so, but that's a freebie. The flashbang's not going to do enough to deter Zeta, and he's going to pick up the kill. Frozen's going to try and return the favor with some aggression, but he's walking into Freeman. Freeman's had a bit of a stinker of a best of 3, but he is going to still put the bullet between the eyes of Frozen. And now Rops may move out into a trap as well, but the aim was too high from Attacker. His crosshair not quite placed perfectly.
That's going to give Mousesports a lifeline here. It looked like the aggressions were just going to be pushed back everywhere from Tyloo, but at least 1 works out, and that gives them some time. The flank starting to come in from Chris J. Woxic knows he's got to buy as much time as possible. The Molotovs, the nades, everything being thrown to allow this flank from Chris J to come through. Zeta executed out towards the pit. And now a 3-on-3, and look at this from Tyloo. They don't know where to look. Robs gets a second through the edge of the smoke onto Summer. Woxic not quite able to hit the shot and gives Tyloo their lifeline back in a 2-on-2 as the Molotov goes deep, and that might just burn Freeman alive. Chris J takes advantage. Somebody has got to play the range game here. The bomb planted for him, and perhaps he can find a frag as Chris J just toys with his own Molotov. Smoke goes in. Molly to try and push him off it, but that's not going to work at all. Rops will find the final frag, and Mouse Sports, they have map, and indeed they have series point 15-10, and they're looking good to finish it here and now.
The outright sound of disrespect as the Molotov extinguishes off the smoke. And at that point, he knew the round was done. Mouse Sports 5 match points. Tyloo going to be digging deep, scraping the bottom of the barrel and seeing what sticks. They're going to have no AWP, which is sad times for Zito, who's had a lot of impact when they've been in his hands, but plenty of SGs, 4 in total. Mouse Sports nearly over-aggressing into their demise in the last round, but Rops again, who's just been in such fine form, well over 20 kills to his name here on Dust 2, a huge factor as to why they've been able to come back. Remember as well, Wolfie, at one point, this was 7-1 to Tyloo. That's how much this has changed back in round in Mouse Sports' favor.
And it's a map where typically we see T-sides being a little bit dominant and starting to find their consistency, especially with the Kriegs in the way they are now. It's such a T-sided map in D2, and the opportunities are there for a T-side to just run away with it economically. But instead, Mouse Sports have slowly but surely reeled Tyloo in. And with 4 Kriegs and an AK-47, it really is do or die time for Tyloo. They know there can be no more mistakes, no more slip-ups. And Mouse Sports currently with 2 players towards that B-bomb site, so it will be a 5-on-3 as Tyloo look to hit up towards short. And a long rotation away from Carrigan as well. So Frozen and Woxic with a huge job to do here as they look to hold down this A-bomb site.
As you say, the final curtain starting to come down. Will Tyloo jump out? Do they have that second wind? Is the adrenaline going to spike, or are they going to be laid to rest by Frozen? The Undertaker himself rises up and smites down Tyloo. And now somebody has got to somehow get them out of this predicament. It's a good tap onto Chris J. His position now compromised. 23 seconds to go. Bomb down in an awkward position. And to boot, there's a flank coming in from Carrigan. If somebody doesn't get a move onto the site, this should be all over. He's trying the off angles. He's trying every trick up his sleeve. Oh, Woxic is still going to put him down with authority. And Mouse Sports will take this matchup 2-0 in the end. It was labored. They get it done. We're going to break down all the action after this break.
Until the day the world stops spinning. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call the shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stopped.
Well, Tyloo put up a fight. They didn't go out completely with a whimper, but at the end of the day, I think they'll be a bit disappointed because Dust 2, I believe, was there for the taking. They were 7-1 in the lead. They won the first pistol again. They had everything going their way, and then that capitulation came back in again when it was their T side. That's the strange thing. The T sides today were their weaknesses.
Yeah, you do worry for them a little bit. It looked like the nerves just set in again, those same nerves we were seeing on Inferno where they weren't trusting themselves, they weren't trusting the individuals to hit their shots, and they came into Dust 2 and it looked like they'd just gone, well, we've lost the first map massively, we may as well just try and frag out. And it worked beautifully. They were 7-1 up, as you said, but then that doubt looked like it started to creep back in again. Players started missing shots. Individuals started just not performing. And again, Zeta went a little bit quiet on the AWP.
He really did. And there were moments, as you said, of inspiration. Zeta landing some pretty slick one-taps with the Scout of all weapons, actually. It wasn't even the AWP, I think, that it was his most impactful gun. I think it was actually the Scout. Maybe that was more towards Mousesport's misfortunes and some of the calling not quite being on point. There were a couple times that we talked about in particular when Zeta, aforementioned, got caught in B tunnels and they still hit A, even though it was pretty obvious it could be a stack. But it seemed like it didn't end up matching at the end of the day. When they were on the CT side, it was just business as usual. Voxic, I think, picked 2-3 kills up in the first half, which I can't even remember the last time he had a Dust 2 that poor at the start of the game. But then on the CT side, it was like the old Voxic all over again.
Yeah, they just showed up again, and there were a lot of players who put out outstanding performances. Carrigan being one of them, 42-28 across the series. That is not numbers you normally see an IGL putting up, and that's absolutely huge, right? When your IGL's fragging like that, the players follow behind them. Frozen, 36-25. Everybody showed up at some point for Mousesports, and I wish I could say the same for Tyloo. It just didn't quite come out. Summer came back into his own on Dust 2, and I'm really pleased to see him fragging out as an IGL again. But some of those other players, Zeta, Freeman had a stinker of a best of 3, as you said, and it just looked like it perhaps wasn't quite clicking for Tyloo.
Yeah, I mean, he got 12 kills in 2 maps. And sure, the first map was 16-5. You can let him off, but the second map, he didn't really have impact either. So it's pretty rough going, as you say. But look, they go to the lower brackets now. Speaking of the brackets, we can just have a quick look to show you guys basically the movers, the shakers, and obviously, unfortunately, the teams that didn't quite make it in the brackets here. So you can see Nip and Cloud9 at the bottom, Renegades against TBD, which I'm assuming would be the loser of Na'Vi and FaZe, which is still going on right now.
It looks like, I'm going to go out there and say Na'Vi have won it.
They've actually won.
Just now.
Just now won that. Okay, and that's quite surprising. Yeah, we have just been confirmed by production that is the case. So FaZe won the first map, 16-9, and then end up losing the second 2 back-to-back. Obviously, we didn't see what happened as we were busy casting our games, but that is quite the surprise. So that means that FaZe go down into the lower brackets. They'll be playing against Renegades, and obviously Nip and Cloud9, as we just highlighted. Any results really standing out to you there, Wolfie, or all pretty much as you expected?
I'm surprised Nip didn't take a map off Vitality. That being a 2-0 is always a little bit of an odd one. Obviously, Na'Vi taking out FaZe Clan, that's huge in its own right, and I think Na'Vi are going to be incredibly pleased to be going through the upper bracket. And it's just unfortunate for Renegades, right? They're going to be facing FaZe in their lower bracket elimination. It's just, all that hurts.
It does hurt, and they're a team. Look, I've got a lot of love for Dexter, so in particular, that is painful. I wouldn't completely write them off that, though. I've got to be honest there. I think Renegades could cause a couple of upsets. Here is the other group, Group B. Obviously, we just saw Mousesports. I don't want to necessarily say manhandle. The first map was, Dust 2 was a lot more sketchy in places. So Tyloo will be dropping into the lower bracket. Then obviously we've got the likes of 100 Thieves, G2, Team Liquid VP, which I believe will be casting tomorrow, and then Mad Lions and Evil Geniuses. There's a lot of stacked teams here at Katowice for sure.
to say the least. And I think Liquid, they're going to be happy that they got that VP matchup, right? It's going to be incredibly difficult for any team to be making their way through the upper bracket in this series. Mad Lions, Evil Geniuses, I think that's a game that's going to be going the whole distance. And 100 Thieves G2 as well. I mean, G2 are coming off the back of a stormer of a performance at Blast, and now they're coming up against the 100 Thieves roster who kind of have something to prove as well.
Absolutely. That's a weird position, isn't it? Because I think a lot of teams have a lot to prove right now. We're in this weird flux period with Counter-Strike where the teams are so close to each other in terms of skill, especially with the rankings and ESL rankings playing such a big part in terms of invites and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of teams have a lot of points to prove. Speaking of those teams, though, we do have the schedule to bring up as well to show you guys which games will be taking place when tomorrow. We do have plenty of Counter-Strike coming up from you on the B stream and, of course, on the A stream as well over the duration of Katowice. So that'll be coming up shortly. There you go. Tomorrow's schedule is Liquid versus Virtus Pro. You just mentioned that before. Cloud9 against NiP in that lower bracket game. And then the TBD versus Renegades, which we've just highlighted is going to be FaZe. So sad times for Renegades fans.
Yeah, that's a rough one. I think NiP Cloud9 is going to be one hell of a game as well. Cloud9, they looked good in places against Astralis earlier today. We got to watch that one back at the hotel, and they looked like they could be a team that could step up to that next level. And with NiP picking up Nork recently, perhaps there's some room there for Cloud9 to really start to exploit the new players, exploit those new angles, because NiP, they're going to be juggling, right? They're going to be adjusting around it. So potentially upsets coming into that lower bracket.
And these are the games on the A streams. That's Evil Geniuses against Mad Lions, the game that we think could be incredibly close. Astralis versus Vitality. That's going to be a banger of a matchup. And then TBD against Fnatic. Would that be Tyloo, I'm assuming?
Na'Vi. Fnatic beat Renegades, so it'll be Na'Vi.
Oh, Na'Vi. Okay, there you go then. So it's going to be action-packed on both streams. We will be back tomorrow, of course, casting that alongside Tom and Jason. But any final sort of thoughts or any feelings towards the games that we've casted today or the games that you've seen on the B stream?
We've had a fantastic first day at Katowice, to say the least. There have been some incredible matchups, and I can't wait to go back and watch that FaZe Na'Vi game later on tonight. And it's going to be huge going into day 2. I still think and I still believe Tyloo can make a lower bracket run if they're given the opportunity and just given that freedom to play the style of Counter-Strike that they're known for. Otherwise, it's going to be very rough. And Mouse Sports, they really put a statement out today. They trashed them on Inferno. Dust 2 looked a little bit wobbly, but I wouldn't expect that one to be coming up so much for Mouse Sports as the bracket gets further and further in. A lot of teams like to ban that. So I think Mouse, they're looking at a very deep run in this series.
I'd certainly agree. I think there were some shakes, you said, on Dust 2, but that's on the proviso that Voxic has another very off performance, which is going to happen very rarely. So I think that might actually be a little bit under the radar. Maybe some teams will look too much into that. But guys, that's all from today from us on the B stream of Katowice. All the games have come to their conclusion. We've had some twists, we've had some turns, we've had some absolute stomps as well with some great plays sprinkled in. We'll tune in again tomorrow, hopefully, all of you, for the A or B streamers. We have plenty more Counter-Strike coming up. So we'll see you then.
On Intel Extreme Master Certified PCs, you'll find a gold badge. It means you'll find brilliance inside, that you'll get high-grade components like Intel Core i7 and i9 processors that'll deliver the uncompromised performance you need to game like a pro. Not to mention, every purchase supports the prize pool of Intel Extreme Masters. Intel, unleash your brilliance.
Everybody loves an underdog. Who needs to be liked?
Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
For them, to simply exist is not enough. They must strive for more. They risk everything to build a legacy, just to have it torn down. Many have tried to reach the unobtainable, but only a few achieve greatness. They have many names. We call them stars. Euronics, a human touch in a digital world.
My name is Jordan Gilbert, aka Nothing.
Hi, my name is Sue Lee. My handle is Snix. I think it's important for these initiatives to happen. Empathy really, really goes a long way, and it always means so much to us, and I think that's where initiatives like this really help.
I encourage everyone in the community, anytime they see bullying, anytime they see someone getting called names, I encourage you to step up and say something.
Good luck, have fun.
Good luck, have fun.
I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I call the shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. Savage, you've been distracted, your best my average, there's a reason for that's a fact. So they snapping back, mad at the fact that I don't have a backup plan, I ain't need that. Outworking everybody when I relax, so I ain't tripping about none of y'all feedback. Every day I wonder when I'm gonna peak at, and that's why you count your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. Shots in the man with the plot and we only go bombs away. Ain't no one protecting my mind as a weapon, that's why I'ma dominate. Taking advantage of every second, now I ain't got time to waste. They all tryna sign my name, they want me to sign my name. Counting your blessing while I count that in my winnings. We take 50s and 100s and throw them up to the ceiling. Everything I envision, now everybody gon' witness. Only difference between us is I ain't stop till I finish. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now. I always wanted the world, I wanna conquer the world right now. I feel on top of the world, I feel on top of the world right now.
so heartless. It was a moment of darkness. Look at me that way. It broke my heart to see. It's too hard, it don't come easy. I went dark, I lost it right away. And when it starts, God knows what I'll say. In my head, I had good reason. I went red so unexpectedly. I should have said that sometimes happens to me. Of darkness.
Your destiny, slay your enemy, raise a legacy. No more apologies, trust your abilities, gather the energies. Pull yourself back together, been staying off track forever. Child of the nation, go seek redemption, time for salvation. Today is meant to be a day of victory, time for history. Reverse a tendency, fight the entropy, channel your rivalry. You're praying for fortune to come, you're hearing the sound of the drums. It's too late to backtrack, go back, you're back now. Keep your feet on the road and stand up. You've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you black out, out. Stand up, you've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you back out. Give all you got and show them how to make a miracle. Stand up, you've got what it takes to fight back. Don't stop until you back out. Give all you got and show them how to make a miracle. Go save your team, be a hero. Take home the cup, be a star. They're waiting for you, take aim, shoot your arrow. It's your time to shine, show them who you are. Stronger, gotta go faster, gotta get better, gotta work harder.